Okay, so good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. You're locked into Conscious Minds TV with myself, D.V.G, and today my very special guest is my amazing sister Araya. I've been following her work for maybe like 4 years now, and we've been talking about doing the show forever. And finally, today is the day we're going to be doing it. Thank you for joining me, sister. I'm really looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, it's great as well. Yeah, I mean, I follow everything that you do as well because I think you're amazing. I think that you've done really, really well on your journey so far. And
Yeah, likewise.
yeah, definitely.
Um,
And it's great to connect with someone else who can understand, comprehend, let's say, comprehend astrology as well. Because it makes it that much easier.
of
Uh,
course.
Correspond as well.
It's interesting you say that, sister, because it's funny because obviously I've met and connected with so many different people in this journey and like doing videos, and it's funny, like even people who are into like esoteric studies, so to speak, it's like a lot of them, like they know like bits of astrology, but they still don't know like how to read a birth chart or like about all the degrees. And so it's not always like you'd think that most people in our circle would know like all of it, but that's not necessarily the case. So, like you said, it is good when you both know the same things because you can connect more deeply and the conversation is more smooth and you're more at one with each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then just before you started to record, I was going to talk about cultures, because cultures can mean two different things. Like you come from a certain culture yourself, but culture is when you make yogurt,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's, so I was just using that as an example in the fact that, if you look at my chart, yeah, I was actually born prematurely, which is very typical of Gemini rising, intervention of surgeons with Mars literally almost on the first house, or just a couple of degrees away. And and then it was the 60s, so I had to go into an incubator. And I think what spurred it on was that, that's why I was talking about cultures. Depending where you lived on Earth, wherever, the evil ones already had, their claws into your country, they did different cultures. So one country you were allowed this, but not allowed that. On the country, another country is the other way around. Plus, then it really confuses everybody even more. Um, so basically, as a result, for me, in my case anyway, to have been born early was, I think, because my mom in the 60s in France, in the day, they were telling women not to breastfeed. I'm not sure if they were doing exactly that in the UK at the same time, or if they did that earlier or later. I'd have to research that. But of course, a lot of women, of course, got hooked on television back then, and believed everything they were told. And so I guess this is probably why I was born early, so 7 weeks early, which is quite a lot even back then. And the pills that my mom had taken were pills to stop the milk from flowing,
Oh,
because they didn't.
wow.
Yeah, because they were trying to stop women from breastfeeding, and a lot of women went for it because they wanted to work, and my mom was working. Well, she wanted to work, and so it was much easier that way, because then I could go to my grandparents and they would just give me a bottle. but
Yeah.
of course but of course, when I was born, well, I was, first of all, yeah, I was an incubator, and then I puked all the milks of the clinic as well. There wasn't one milk that I could digest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I nearly died, but Mars in the first house, Sun in the first house,
Yeah, it's a
conjunct
bit of
conjunct
generation. Yeah.
Jupiter. Jupiter brings a bit of luck. So somehow I got saved by some kind of evaporated milk and red. Uh, Everything was, I think, organic back in the day, and everything had seeds back then in the 60s. I'm telling you, in France, every time I ate a grape, there was a seed. That's why I wasn't that keen on them. I preferred raspberries and blueberries. But yeah, grapes always had seeds. But yeah, my mom had to feed me as much freshly pressed red grape juice as well, because apparently because the doctor that delivered her also delivered me, and said it was almost the same chemical components than mother's milk, and the closest to that was a red or black grape juice. Obviously it has to be seeded and organic. Yeah.
That's so interesting, sister, that you mentioned about how when like you was born, you had to stay in the incubator and all that. But it's so funny because when I was born, I also had to stay in hospital for a couple of weeks, but mine was the exact opposite of yours. I was too developed because I was a really big baby. And so I had to stay in hospital when I was born as well. And I remember I used to ask my mum, I said to my mum, how comes I was like, why was I such a big baby? She said, oh, when I was pregnant with you, all I used to eat was fish and chips. That's
Oh
what she
my
told
God.
me. So, like, yeah,
You're on
it's
chips,
mad.
baby.
Like, what's that?
You're a fish on chips, baby.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, like, yeah, like, because my actually my left arm is actually got damaged when I was being born because of
Oh.
how big I was and the pressure of me coming out and all that. Like my left arm's really weak. It
Oh,
always
well,
has been.
if you come to where I live, you're welcome to have treatments with my device, because
Oh, thank you, sister.
it is so amazing. The results, I'm having,
What
especially if
what
it's,
device is it you've got?
it's something I created myself.
Oh,
So,
right. Cool.
so I've called it I like I, and then
Yeah,
Ray, R-A-Y, and then Sonar, S-O-N-A-R, Ray Sonar.
yeah,
That's because basically it doesn't work with any electricity. There's absolutely no electricity with the device. You can carry, you could go in the middle of the countryside and use it because there's no electricity required for it to work because it's basically an optical device, So
yeah,
it's just like, having a lens in front of you kind of thing.
yeah,
So basically, what it uses acupuncture points because that's where because basically your body emits DNA. Sorry, what am I talking about? Your DNA on your cells emit light constantly, which you can't really see with the naked eye. Some people talk of an aura, but that's more like a bit further away from you. The aura. I'm
yeah,
talking a very physical phenomena that happens, which is called biophotons, which your cells on DNA emit at all times, and depending on their frequency and and so on. If you're not well, then your light is all over the place and chaotic. But if you're well, then the light that you emit is nice and undulated on all kind of coherent,
yeah,
completely coherent.
yeah,
Um, so I had to study a lot, about light and all of that. But anyway, yeah, and so basically, I put some bracelets on your acupuncture points, but they're all relayed together with fiber optics. But there's a bit of a magic going on in obviously in the process, due to the way it's built. And basically, what happens is your light is constantly reflected in and out, and as as the session goes on, after about 10 minutes, you start going into a very deep, like alpha than theta state. You're literally like having like almost like an out of body experience, I would say. Not, I mean, you're still in your body, but you feel so relaxed and so like,
yeah,
wow, it's like absolutely amazing. And then after that, the healing just starts. And it basically, it doesn't actually do anything. It's actually you yourself healing yourself through the device.
yeah,
And your light, and during the session, your light gets more and more coherent. And the more relaxed you are, the quicker this is going to happen. And, the only thing is, I've noticed that people that have emotional or mental issues, the device will work for that as well. But you would expect a few more sessions, if you
yeah,
were like that, mentally like blocked on something or really emotional, you would expect a few more treatments because the body cannot heal until the mind on the emotions are healed first. It's impossible. It's just
yeah.
not possible. A pill will just suppress the whatever's happening, but it will not heal anything.
Yeah, the only thing I've done that is similar to something like that is I've been on a Rife. I've done a like 3 hour. I've done like a couple of sessions on a Rife machine.
Oh yeah, I had one of those and I sold it to
Yeah,
fund my own project because my own project to me is like even more amazing
yeah.
than
I
the
mean, a friend of mine. I think you know them as well. My friend Lee. He
yeah.
basically, yeah, he was kind of training someone to use it in the UK, and I was kind of the guinea pig in the middle. So I went to the person's house and did a few sessions. I remember I did like I can't remember. I've got a little video on my YouTube channel. It's about 2 minutes of me on it, but I remember I did one. It was like a parasite cleanse. I did three different ones, but I don't remember the program specifically, but that's the only thing I've kind of done when it comes to device like healing. But that's the only time.
The Rife is great. The Rife is absolutely amazing. You know, what I like about my device is that it's. I mean, I have seen miracles with it, absolute miracles. Like you know, like I just have a look at the testimonies, but absolute miracles. And the fact that it's you healing yourself through it. You know.
Yeah.
It's that's the way it works. And for some people, you know, if they really don't want to heal, they will not heal.
Yeah.
You know, and people may think they want to heal, but maybe deep down they don't. But you know, you can have a look at the testimonies, you know, and it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm just, you know, over the moon with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that like we was talking about off air about like I've always kind of not had trouble, but it's something that I've always like been trying to work on is like my health and trying to be better and like I mean before like I started my journey in 2013, I had like no interest in any of it whatsoever. But then now since I have started my journey, I have like learned a lot about, you know, just about energy and the body and your chakras and different herbs and um yeah, loads of different things. Like medical astrology is quite a big thing that I'm into and
Yeah.
how it correlates with the body and stuff. It's all of it is amazing, man. It's just like there's so much to learn, but yeah, like when you do like tap into yourself, I think you just naturally um start obviously to get to know yourself, you got to know your weaknesses and your strengths, and then also knowing my chart as well now really like makes sense to why you may have like particular conditions. I've been reading the book from Judith Hill,
Oh,
and
I love Judith Hill. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's this book I'll show you. I don't know if you've, it's this book here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What was so crazy, sister, was um like recently, like I wasn't feeling too good one day, and I felt sick. And then like just because I've got like loads of like natural herbs and stuff, I thought I'll have some of them. It might help my immune system and whatever. But if anything, once I had them, I was just kept feeling sick. And
Well,
then
that's good because that when you feel sick, you're releasing toxins. It's a detox.
yeah,
There is no
yeah,
such thing as a bug, you know. Every time you pee or you know shit, whatever,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or skin eruptions, vomiting, you know, sweating, all
yeah,
that detoxes.
yeah. But what's ironic, I thought, oh, let me check where the moon is. And I checked the moon, and the moon was in Virgo, and it was directly opposing Saturn.
All right.
And but what is so interesting, when I thought, you know what, I started reading about Virgo moon in this book, and it was saying that whenever the moon is in Virgo, it's best not to take stuff because the stomach's so sensitive that it will just make you puke it all up. And that's literally what happened to me. But it was
Oh,
so crazy because this confirmed it as well.
I was born with the moon in Virgo, right at the end, not quite Libra, but still in Virgo.
Yeah,
And as I said earlier, when I was, you know, I was born 7 weeks premature, so my mom had no milk to give me because of the pills that she took. And I puked all the milks of the clinic.
yeah, yeah,
None of them. On the moon in Virgo, I couldn't
yeah,
digest anything. Could not.
yeah. Like it
Could not
just,
digest, cow's milk. Could not digest any of that.
yeah, the book's basically saying that the main thing you have to look out for is your Saturn placement because that's what gives you your chronic diseases.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what it was saying. So, like your Saturn and your nodes, and Mars are the main four that it says you've got to kind of look out for in your chart when you're looking at like, medical stuff. Just to
Yeah.
ask this stuff,
My Venus is only 4 degrees away from Algol.
your Venus is 4 degrees away from.
Algol. Algol. You know Algol?
Algol.
Yeah, I think it's an Arabic name, Algol, Algol.
Is it an
It's,
asteroid?
yeah. And this is the one that usually, when you're going to look at any of these kind of extra, fixed stars,
Yeah.
that's the one that people tend to look at because it's meant to be a very, very, if not the most malefic one.
Wow. See, you've
But, of
taught
course,
me something.
but because it's obviously it's fixed, it's always the same degree.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
I remember well, it's 24 degrees of Taurus or 26, but I think it's 24 degrees of Taurus. And I have Venus in Taurus at 28, nearly
yeah,
29 degrees or something like that. And so I don't know, like I need to obviously this is how I work. I'll meet people, and if I find out they're Taurus, born like literally, at that degree, then I can see how their lives has developed and
yeah,
stuff like that, but apparently, yeah, I mean, it will affect you somehow, and I think I've read in some, medical astrological books or whatever that, yeah, I think it will affect something, of course,
yeah.
in those
Because
people.
I have Moon in Taurus, but I have Saturn in Scorpio. It's not directly opposing it, but it's still an opposition, and it makes so much sense because I always feel like I have a dry throat. So
Oh yeah, me too,
I think that Saturn opposing the Moon like dries it up a bit.
I've got Saturn opposing the moon, but to make it even worse, I've got the sun squaring both.
Oh wow! So
but
so
but
you
but by, but by sign they get on because I've got Saturn in Pisces, Sun
right?
in Cancer,
Yeah.
and Moon in Virgo. But by degree, it makes a perfect T square.
Right. Wow.
Really,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So with me, my sun and moon, and well, I've got in my Scorpio, I've got Pluto 0 degrees, Saturn 9 degrees, and my sun 26 degrees. But my moon's 18 degrees. So again, it's not a direct opposition, but
Yeah.
it's still opposing. And like yeah, like my weak ones are my Mercury I have in Sagittarius and Mars in Cancer. Oh no, Mars in Libra. Sorry,
All right,
I
right.
have Mars in Libra. Yeah, so they're
Yeah,
like my two weakest placements.
yeah. I mean, I've suffered from that T square, I think, most of my life, and it got super activated. Sort of like I'd say around about 12 years ago, 10, yeah, around that time. I think I was also having a Uranus opposition, I think, or was it a square? I can't remember. Um, but anyway, yeah, it was really, really powerful for me, like when Pluto was directly opposite my sun, when Pluto was at the very beginning of Capricorn. Oh my God, like, my whole life fell apart in front of me, emotionally, mentally, physically, you name it. I went through it.
Yeah, Pluto's currently literally squaring my natal Pluto, but when it goes into 0 degrees of Aquarius, it's going to be totally squaring it because my Pluto is 0 degrees Scorpio, and obviously Pluto is currently right at the end of Capricorn. I think
Yeah,
20th is going into
I think
Aquarius.
but it's already been in Aquarius. I think it's been back and
Yeah, it
forth,
has. Yeah, it retrograded back. Yeah, it did.
but I think it's going there fully, like at the end of the year. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. I was going to ask, sister, like, you see, obviously, the type of information we're into, and it's not, how can I say, it's your everyday people are not into this type of stuff. I mean, was it a specific defining moment for you when you got into this journey, or was it something that kind of gradually developed? Like for me personally, I guess like I'll give you a short example. Like I remember when I like wasn't into this stuff properly, and like I used to like look at a newspaper. I actually used to read all the astrology, all that bullshit they write in the newspaper because I don't know what it was. There was obviously something about it that I was attracted to. Do you get what I mean? But then, like, once in 2013, once I started using cannabis and then I started looking into deep stuff, that's when my journey really, like, like blasted off for me. So it's like literally been 10 years for me exactly when I started. Like for you, was it a particular moment or is it just been like a gradual thing? Or
For me,
both?
it's very hard to express, but all my life, I can remember being a baby. I can remember all my childhood. I guess if you looked at my chart, so I've got the sun in Cancer. I've also got Mercury in Cancer. I've also got Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter conjuncting my sun by, I think it's only 6 degrees away or something from my sun. And Mercury in Cancer, so good memory. And also it's in my third house, in the house of Gemini, you know,
Yeah,
which is its own house. And I've
yeah,
got the moon
exactly.
in Virgo, which is very mercurial as well,
Yeah,
in the fifth house, in the house of Leo. So I'm very for example, I remember all my dreams. I can remember dreams. I dream almost, it's literally every night. I might have a night off a year. And I remember every dream. Sometimes they just pop into my head. I remember being a baby. I remember a lot of the things that happened to me, some good, some bad. Um, I was able to read when I was 3 years old. Probably, I think it was even 2.5. I could already read. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but this is the truth. When I was 6 years old, I was already reading mythology because my mom bought me some books when I was 5, naughty books. And she gave me my first book, and I read it in like a few hours. And my mom was, I can't keep buying you like 10 books a day, you know?
yeah,
I read really fast, you know? I was just so, I loved reading. I spent my childhood just reading.
yeah,
That's all. And then, I mean, I went out, of course, at some point we moved to the countryside, but yeah, I went out a little bit. Yeah, of course, on every weekend we went out with the parents, you know, in the countryside for a walk, literally almost every weekend. But I was always at home reading. And so I was already into Egyptology, you know, and you know, all of that, you know, when I was like 7, 8 years old, you know, and the Greek stuff, you know.
that's
And my
so
mom,
interesting, sister. Look, sorry, I don't mean to cut you.
no, go.
I'm just going to hold that thought. I'll tell you after. It relates to the Egypt thing and me when I was younger. I'll tell you after.
Well, the Egypt thing, I know it's going to sound crazy. I'm sure my brother would remember. So I think I was only about 8 or 9, 8, let's say I was 8, he's only a year and a half younger than me. So I could even have been 7.5, but I remember like we saw this amazing thing on Egypt, on Cleopatra, and then the mummies on the pyramids. I mean, I was just absolutely, I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was absolutely, yeah, I think I was about 8 years old. I was absolutely fascinated. And for some reason, I don't even know where this word came from, but I'd obviously heard it. But did I know what it really? I mean, I don't know how to this day. Like, how did I pick up that word? Even though I watched all this stuff on Egypt, and I remember like a couple of days later, whatever, we went to see an auntie and we were playing outside. And all of a sudden, I remember myself saying to my brother, you know, I'm a reincarnation of Cleopatra. That's what I said to my brother. I was like, I swear to God, I was only like, I was maximum 8 years old, 7.5, 8 years old. I remember very well. Um, and this is something that stuck with me. That I remember saying that to my brother. But where it came from, I just, even though I've seen all this stuff on Egyptology, I think I would have been too young to understand that concept.
Yeah,
But I need to come up with it. And you know, like I sort of do amaroli, which is, you know, a urine drinking as well. You know, so I kind of, you know, I'm on and off with it. Sometimes I do
yeah.
it for a month and then I stop and then I start again. You know, and as a child, I drank my pee as well a couple of times, and I made my brother drink his as well. and and also I was very lucky, very lucky. My parents used to send me on holiday camps from the age of 7. So the first year, I think not maybe even 6, you know, and I remember really crying. But you know, I miss my grandparents mostly because my grandparents brought me up till I was
Yeah,
4 years old. But anyway, yeah, so they started to send me on holiday camps, and it was amazing. You know, we used to learn all the different crafts, you know, how to make lavender baskets, how to make knives, we used to go for long walks in the mountains, to camp in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, carrying all our stuff, you know, like proper boot fucking camp, you know, like
yeah.
it
It
was,
sounds good.
but it was amazing. I had such a fantastic time. And I tell you what, I drank ayahuasca for the first time of my life in one of those camps.
Wow,
And
what, at that
all my
young
life,
age.
Yes, I would have been 9. Not, I would have been like 8 or 9. Not 9. I was 9. I was definitely 9
Yeah,
years old. And I remember the people looking after us. They were called monitors. So there was probably 7 or 8, 6 or 7, well, maybe 5 or 6 of them. And they were there to look after us, to make sure that we were okay.
yeah,
So the girls were in one dormitory, the boys in the other, and then we would do all these activities. And I remember distinctly that at some point they were all dressed in white, and we went underneath the house where it was all like arch, and we heard music, and they made us dance, very simple little dance. And then now and then they'd go viva viva. We did the same another night outside with a big cross with the two. It's not a normal like Christian cross, which is like this. That one's got 2 levels rather than just 1.
right.
And it's called the Cross of Lorraine. And I remember asking them, what does that cross mean? And I wasn't really going to church, but I used to purposely go to church with the kids because I was fascinated back then with the cathedrals and churches. So I made myself go to the Sunday school with them during the holiday camps. And yeah, and it wasn't until I drank ayahuasca for the first time in London that it all, because all my life flashed back in front of me, like key moments of my life. And that was one of the key moments. And I remember, and this is when I realized, fucking hell, I know this music. And I thought, but I've never heard this music. How do I know this? But I knew that I knew this music. And this is the music I heard as a child. And I used to think that they were singing in Spanish, but it's all in Portuguese because it's from Brazil. It's called
Yeah,
the Santo Daime. And they were all going Viva and Viva. And my God. And I remember this drink being passed around. And I remember being in heaven and all the people that looked after us, those monitors, that, it would have been the 70s. Yeah. So they had long hair, they had flowers in there. They were giving us crystals, they were massaging us, doing yoga. I didn't know it was yoga, but I became a yoga teacher. That was one of my first jobs. And so, all my life I've had all these kind of like really amazing moments to help me
yeah,
along my journey. There is no doubt. But I always knew the bullshit as well.
yeah,
My dad used to hit me on this, that, the other. I always had a good sense of morality on all of that straight away, due to thanks to my mom as well, because my mom was a very, very highly moral person. My dad probably not quite as much. But yeah, so I had a mixed background, but my awakening was kind of like, like a little bit more like since very young.
yeah,
I already, I mean, I've had a lot of prophetic dreams all my life, things that happened, not to me personally, but in the world, for example. And this is why I started to pay a bit more attention to my dreams as well as a result.
yeah.
um
It's funny,
yeah.
sister, because yesterday, I was talking to my friend in Ohio, Lindsay, and we was talking about like when we was younger and what school trips did we go on and stuff. And I remember I loved all my school trips, but the one that I was so gassed and fascinated about was when we went British Museum and we looked at all the like Egyptian stuff and all the mummies and all that. And even I remember at school studying it, there was something about it that was so captivating to me, and I just loved that whole thing. And I remember like when I went to the museum and come back home, I was so happy that day that I got to see like the Egyptian stuff from the mummies. And but then now as I've got older and I'm into like a lot of esoteric knowledge and spirituality and mysticism, it just makes so much sense. Like it's like I understand why I loved it so much. Do you get what I mean? But whereas back then I couldn't comprehend why I was so drawn to it and so fascinated by it. But now I can.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like it just goes to show that um I guess we are always who we are, but it's just obviously due to outside influences and culture, like you said, and
Well,
parental
exactly. And
influences. You
we're all
get
here.
corrupted.
Yeah, but we're all here for lessons as well. Otherwise, we would not be here.
Yeah,
And some of us are ready, for our own ascension. Some of us are not. And that's just the way it is. There is nothing unfair in the universe in many ways because,
yeah,
we've all been through shit, like some of us have been fluoridated, some of us, nearly didn't make it. And so we've all been poisoned since like the last few hundred
yeah,
years. We carry that poison with us because if our great grandparents had it, then it's passed on, especially for the mother, but it's passed on through the father as well, but even more so for the mother, of course. And we know who they are, the people that poison our wells on rivers, and then now with their vaccines and all that nonsense, all that stuff. Yeah, so it's not easy to be a human. There is no doubt about it. There's always a lot of
obstacles.
learn. And like today, I think I sent it to you. I watched a really good video on semen retention.
Yeah.
The guy's pretty good. He's a young guy. He's pretty good, and it's true, And I think, I mean, okay, I live in Glastonbury, so all the men here have had their balls chopped off by the fat goddesses, that paid £3,000 for the honor to become one. So
say that again.
I said, as an example, most of the men here in Glastonbury have had their balls chopped off,
right,
by the fat goddesses who paid about £3,000 a year to become such.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but with the semen retention, like this guy has got a good point. He's quite well read on semen retention, and he said that when this is another reason why like a lot of men have lost their balls, so to speak, as well. Is that obviously they're bombarded with, like, obviously the feminist movement and all this nonsense and all of that, but also the more a man ejaculates, the more he loses his seed, basically. He loses his life.
Of course.
Scorpio is the little death, yeah. So he loses life all the time, and the body, especially as he gets older, finds it really hard to replenish what's lost. And of course, semen, well, for the women it's the same. You have to retain your seed as well, but for the women it's a lot easier. But he said a really good thing that I really liked, and he said, people need to stop fucking and the men need to stop fucking and need to stop fighting. And it's true, because as a result, the men have got no fight left in them as a result of all this ejaculation, which is forced upon with pornography and with constant, in cities especially.
Yeah, even like when you think about it, like newspapers back in the day, even like just page 3, and there was always like little things that we especially the Western world is a very hypersexualized society. Do you get what I mean? Like it's in our faces from a like young age.
Yeah, it's hypersexualized. It's just sort of crazy, and and this is what they want, because it's a harvest of your energy, because they want you to lose your seed. They don't want you to be able to fight. So the more you lose your seed, then you can't fight, and if all the men stop fucking ejaculating, we'd get a fucking army again, we'd have a fucking proper human army, but people don't realize, I think, there's nothing wrong with it. No, it's just because all of us have had, I mean, us, even me, I've had to relearn things. I've had to let go of things and relearn things, of course, from believing in the nonsense of the blow birth and all of that. All of us have had to drop a lot of stuff, and it is about, like, when there's new information, do not reject it. It's stupid, like, you can't reject something and still claim to believe the other thing until you've looked at the other side. You can't do that. It's impossible. I mean, if you're not interested, that's another story, but you cannot claim that the earth is a ball without having done any research whatsoever on finding out the truth on the other side.
What's interesting, sister, though? A lot of the people that defend that model don't even know that model themselves.
Well, exactly. Of course.
Think like they don't even know like the little ins and outs of like even the simple thing of like how fast the earth spins.
Because if it doesn't make sense, you can't explain it.
I guess so. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah,
but like, I mean, that subject, I mean, I really went down the rabbit hole with that subject. I mean, in recent years, I mean, I haven't given up on it. It's still a fascinating subject, but a lot of it's becoming repetitive to me, which is why I don't look into it anymore. It's like I know that the whole glow thing's bullshit. So
yeah,
you get what I mean? But like, I remember, sister, the first time I
love it.
posted it in 2015. All I did was post a video. I didn't leave no comment or nothing. And my Facebook blew up and people were arguing.
Oh,
And
oh
it
my
just went,
God, the same thing happened to me the year before, because I became a flat earther the year 2014. And I remember no comment, I just posted something. The attacks were like, I was like, but at that point I was already used to attacks with the anti-Semitic stuff. So I was
yeah,
like, fucking bring it on, mate, you know?
yeah, yeah. They weren't necessarily like, it weren't necessarily like attacking me. It was just like, uh, well, it was a bit, but like in the end, it was just people arguing. Like my friends, like between themselves, arguing, and my phone kept going off. And in the end, I just got so drained by it, I just deleted the post. And I have posted stuff about it um on my Facebook, but I mean, it's been very odd, and whenever I have, it's always been crazy. It's like it's always blew up, but yeah, I mean,
I mean, this is the fact, a lot of people get really triggered by the flat
yeah,
earth. They get triggered by the flat earth more than any, probably even more than the vaccine. They get really triggered by it
yeah,
because it's almost like they can't believe the government will lie to them that far.
yeah, yeah. That's what I think it is. I think
Hello.
people have got I think another reason why people can't accept it is because people don't like to think that they've been fooled all their lives, or they can't accept that they've been fooled or lied to. So, and because of their ego, they can't accept it.
I've accepted it since I was born.
What's that?
I've accepted that since I was born. I already knew that. I was like, what's this? This is a fucking lie. Like,
Yeah,
what is that? You know?
but do you know what's so funny, sister? Like once I got into it, because I remember like when I was young, or like when you're on your own and you go into your imagination. And I used to think, but like, how does this? Like, I did actually. I'm talking about when I was like maybe 11 or something, and I'd be in my mind, and like when I was at school and the teacher was saying this, and I'd be thinking to myself, yeah, but how does? And then I'd think, oh, they know better.
That's right. Just,
Like, you get,
you're told to fucking listen, sit down and take it all
yeah.
in. Believe it. Believe it. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but then the funny thing is, when I got into my journey, and then it was presented to me, I was just like, wow, it just made sense straight away. I didn't fight it whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
did
mean, for
not
me,
fight it.
with the flat earth, it was because I was already an astrologer. So it was my ex-boyfriend. I said, what's new? Like, and he went, oh yeah, there's something new. Apparently the earth is flat. And my first reaction was, well, I wouldn't be surprised because they lied about everything else.
Yeah,
And then I started to watch an airy debate, and literally within 2 minutes, I was like, "Fuck, I'm like, now it all makes sense astrologically as well. Everything fell
yeah,
into place. And then I remember, I read a lot of books in my life. I've read a lot of books in my life, and from all different cultures, because I'm Gemini rising, eclectic.
yeah,
I read, the 1001 Night. I've never become a Sufi, but I read a lot of. I was into G.I. Gurdjieff, who was part of that world. So I read a lot of, like the Mullah Nasruddin stories. It's got another name in Turkey. I can't remember.
oh, Nasreddin Hoxha.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. I
it.
know you're talking about. Yeah,
I've went, into all that kind of stuff. I absolutely really loved
yeah.
it, and I learned a lot from the Mullah Nasruddin. I absolutely just love the
I mean,
stories.
I'm quite into a lot of the Sufi stuff, and yeah, I'm into that side. Like, because obviously, me being Turkish, our religion, so to speak, was Islam, but my family's never been a religious family.
Yeah,
But
like mine.
like since I've done my own studies, like I like the esoteric side of all religions, really, like whether it's like for Gnosticism, Sufism, Kabbalah, whatever religion it is, I just love the esoteric side of it. So I've
Yeah.
looked into because another reason why I've looked into like the whole Sufism thing is because of like Rumi and like the whole vegan
I
and
love
vegetarian
Rumi.
thing,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because I know that Rumi was very strict about eating meat and stuff like that. So that's how I also got into it as well.
Oh, cool, cool. Because I was very much into Girl Jeff, you know, but he did eat meat actually, you know.
Yeah,
But he did wake me up to a lot of stuff very early on in my life, you know. I was just very lucky, you know. I feel like all my life I've been guided, you know, to just remember things, as things to, oh, you know, like, and then it triggers something in me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that already, you know, maybe from a past life. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's
yeah,
like I know, you know. So you know, as I said, I drank ayahuasca when I was, you know, very young, and then it all came back to me like the second time I drank, which was in London, and you know, I just realized that all my life I'd been like guided, you know, like I can't really explain it, but you know,
yeah,
a lot of knowledge coming to me, and like crazy stuff coming to me, you know,
yeah,
which then like later on even happens. I'm like, oh my God, this is something I already knew, you know, that kind of stuff, you know.
yeah,
Funny because I was very disappointed during which I didn't realize. I thought it was my first time when I drank ayahuasca in London. I thought it was my first time. I'd forgotten that, you know, because all my life was like, what did I do when I was a child? What did I do when I was 9 years old? Something happened. I remember this drink. I remember all this stuff, and you know, and then I finally drank, you know, in London, and yeah, the music came back to me. I was like, I knew the music,
yeah.
and
Did you, sister? Can I ask? Did you see the? Because obviously I've not done ayahuasca.
I never had visuals, and I was very
Oh yeah,
disappointed.
that's what I was gonna ask you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've had visions with it here on. I mean, I've drunk so many times
yeah,
that you know,
yeah,
sometimes I've had like wow, amazing visions, but not very often. Maybe 3 or 4 times out of all the times I've drank. But usually, I'm really not clairvoyant whatsoever. But apart from when I'm dreaming, it's all
yeah,
visuals, but not in real life. But in real life, I'm especially clairaudient. I mean, that one is like out. It's almost sometimes unbearable because I'm so sensitive to sound, like so sensitive to sound.
yeah,
Saved a couple of lives because I heard them when people thought they weren't home, but I heard them coughing. Nobody else did, so they broke in anyway. And then, you know, because I heard them, you know, my hearing is like, whoa, fuck, you know. And also I feel like, you know, like I know, like it's like a knowing, an inner knowing that just comes to me. And I know that this is it, you know. And later on through my research, and I'm like, oh, you know, yeah, I was right, you know, or whatever. So I get a lot of I think it's called clairgnosis, yeah, clairgnosis and
yeah.
clairaudience, but
Did you
not no
see the green serpent, feminine thing that everyone talks about when they do ayahuasca?
Yeah, so what I saw was a little bit different. What I saw, it felt more like a croc, like so. For better way of explaining it, this was my experience, right? So I was so with that group. Usually, you all dance and sing together, which is absolutely amazing. But that was like my first time. So after it can knock you out, but you can resist the knocking out, and you can carry on dancing on you're still going through the motion, but at least you're dancing and
Yeah,
you're singing the most beautiful music. I mean, it's amazing. But it was like my first time, so I went to lie down, and oh my God, I started to giggle like uncontrollably, like really loud, and then to the point I was laughing so hard, and like everybody started to laugh, you know. And then the couple of them, like, they came to me, "Are you all right?" You know. And I think I think they were always saw me as a bit of a Mary Magdalene or something in there, because I never wore the proper clothes they want you to wear, and so I think my
yeah,
breasts almost showed one day or something. I can't remember, but anyway, somebody came to cover me up, and they said, and they were laughing, "You're all right?" And they were like, I was like, "Yeah, oh my God." I said something like, "Oh my God, everything is me." You know, obviously because you were like, everything is you, and you know, all of that, you know. And so she was laughing like, yeah, yeah. And then she picked up something like, I don't know, something on the floor. I don't know what it was, but like a maracas or something. She said, "What about that?" I said, "Yeah, that's me as well." And I just carried on laughing and laughing and laughing. But you know, but then, well, just before that, what had happened? Oh my God, this is why I think I went a bit disheveled. uh, um, I felt so. I was lying on the floor on my back, yeah, on my back. But I felt this, and I saw this kind of, yeah, like it was more like a very long crocodile salamander. You know, I can't. It wasn't really a snake. You know, it was more like. But the main thing about it is like when I saw it, I knew already what it wanted to do. I kind of felt what it wanted to merge with me, yeah. But I already knew it was benevolent. That's why I allowed it.
yeah,
I allowed the process to happen. So, but what was weird is like if you imagine, because it's a reptile, so their legs are like this, yeah. But I'm lying like this, So when it merged with me, I was moving my body really weirdly because my obviously my arms are like that, but the reptiles on this, so it kind of merged with me, and I started to do this incredible movement, and I felt this ecstasy. Oh my God, like oh my God, like it's like the ultimate ecstasy I have ever
Yeah.
felt in my life. It was just
Wow.
like being like, oh my God, you know. And it was a few years later, I told the story to someone that knew about this stuff, and she said, yeah, like you know, astral beings, you know, they like to possess bodies because obviously they're more ethereal.
Yeah.
And so just for a moment, even because it didn't feel like very long, but at the same time it was long, but at the same time it felt like it happened very quickly. But I would say, you know, maybe the process lasted about half a minute or something like that, you know, but at the same time it felt very long, you know. But the whole that was the possession, but then the ecstasy carried on, you know, even afterwards, you know. And yeah, it was kind of like weird because, you know, I was like that and I was moving weirdly because I was on my back, and I was just like completely like gone ecstatic. And I never had that experience again with it. It was just that one time.
Wow.
But wow, yeah, it was just amazing
Yeah.
for us as well because well, yeah, because it felt so amazing. So for me to merge with that being was just pure ecstasy, and I knew I could trust it. I just knew because I've had ghost experiences where like I'm like, whoa, like you're not coming anywhere near me, you know. I would have rejected it, you know, and I have rejected such presences even in my dreams, you know. I'll have to tell you about some weird dreams I've had that you
Oh,
wouldn't.
sister, I'm gonna tell. Funny you've brought that up. Dreams. I've had some. I'm gonna tell you one as well. But
Yeah,
like,
I'll tell you a dream after yours.
yeah, all right. But I was
Unique.
gonna
Yeah.
say, um, you know, one day I wanted to like kind of get into an altered state just by going deep inside me and just seeing where it took me. And like once I had like this vision of you know, like they say there's the four islands at the North Pole.
Yeah.
So I had a vision that I was on one of these islands and it was like there was no one there. And it was like really peaceful and it was like raining and it was all like nice and but I could hear like a flute playing. And then I looked in one of the mountains and there was like this yogi, he was just sitting there like playing a flute. Like he looked like more of a like a Hindu Indian type of yogi, and then like he didn't speak to me, but what I got from it was he's gone. Oh, I sit here and play this flute to see if I can connect with anyone in your world, and I connected with you. He's like, and he didn't say that to me, but that's the feeling I got from the vision. And I was like telling my brother about it, and I was like, oh, so I had this vision and this and this and this. And then my brother said to me, that guy was you because he's saying that's what where you wanted to be, but you just and like yeah, that's the only kind of like vivid vision I've had, and all I'd done was smoked, but I just went really like I just really channeled it. I don't know, and it just came to me like kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also once the other thing I've done in my mind is I've jumped inside of my mouth and walked through my body,
Wow.
and the veins were rivers and waters, and the blood was all like red mountains, and it's like it's weird. It's like I was just walking through my body. I've had like little experiences like this, but
A couple of times I've done like trying to go into organs, you know, with the
yeah.
yeah.
But the dream I'm gonna tell you about is so weird and crazy, but it freaked me out. So basically, um, I had a dream that basically on my road, my road is called Park Lane. There's a park on my road, and there's some trees. They look like them like Japanese bonsai trees, and there were like in my dream, like I had a dream that I got into a confrontation with an Oriental looking lady, and for some weird reason, in in the dream, I stabbed her. But when I stabbed her, her blood came out as, you know, that sweet and sour sauce, like from the Chinese. Her blood come out as that, basically. So I'm thinking maybe that day I must have been thinking about Chinese food or whatever it is. But anyway, sister, I've gone to the park the next day, and exactly where it happened, there was a Chinese woman sitting right there under that tree. And I thought, wow, like I visioned it. Obviously, I didn't go and like, but the one I envisioned was a lot more obviously scarier with me stabbing her and all that type of stuff. But like literally, she was in the exact spot where it happened.
Yeah.
And like that, I remember that really freaked me out. But like, I don't know if that was like some sort of telepathy of I don't know what it was, but yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And how long ago was that?
What when I had this dream, it was years ago, like can't maybe 10, 15 years ago. I can't remember specifically.
Right. Because as I said earlier, my dreams are. I remember all my dreams. When I wake up, I remember all my dreams, and those dreams are always with me. Then sometimes I'm walking down the street, and then all these dreams are flashing. Oh yeah, this dream I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
one, and but some of them have been very, very. I've got so many that I'm only going to tell you one because there's so many. Some are even more lucid than the one I'm going to tell you. Some I've had like incredible. But I thought I'd tell you that one because it's relating to kind of snakes and serpents again.
yeah.
So and also because that one was literally the day before. I'm trying to remember the year. I think it would have been either at the end of 2003 or beginning of 2004, so like 20 years ago anyway, when the big tsunami happened in
Japan.
no, the big tsunami happened in what was it, Hawaii? Was it Hawaii?
I'm not sure.
No, where was it? Oh, there was a massive tsunami like 20 years ago, like I think it was Hawaii. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Anyway, yeah, yeah,
But anyway, it was massive. I mean, everybody, it was like a big thing when it happened. I mean, it was like, disaster, like a lot of people died, the only boats that kind of survived were the ones, I know about boats because I used to sell boats. So the ones with very long keels, came back up. But literally all the boats, I mean, the sea just went right inland, took all the houses out. I mean, it was the most major catastrophe of the century, literally, at that point. And anyway, I'd been drinking ayahuasca, I think, for about maybe about 9 months. I think then at that point I'd been drinking for about 9 months. So some of my dreams got even more vivid. And so that one, which was really weird because I would not even have known what a tsunami was at that point. I don't even remember if I ever saw the name written somewhere, if I'd ever read anything about it. I mean, I was in my 30s. I really don't remember. But anyway, I had this dream where I was on a beach, which looked like a beach I'd been on before in Corsica, a very long beach. I went on forever, both sides. But on this side here, on my left-hand side, was a few buildings, maximum 3 meter, 3 stories high. I
yeah,
think they were all 3 stories high. And then there was a few restaurants, and it was probably midnight. But anyway, it was dark. There was a few lights, and some people had come out for a midnight swim or something, it was warm, and my parents were in the dream as well, which I don't dream of. And my brother was there as well. I don't dream of my family together very often. It's unusually they stick even more because it's not that often. And so anyway, we just, I think I'm in a swimsuit, and I'm about to go for a swim. Or I've been for, I can't remember. I'm like, anyway, I'm just looking out and I'm thinking, okay, let's go back into the water. But it's nighttime, but I feel like I can sense something, and I look out, and I'm like, fucking, that looks weird. It looks like the sea is like getting higher and higher, but I'm thinking, am I imagining things? And I'm looking out and I'm like, look, everyone, and everyone looks, and everybody's like, oh my God, like just, and it looked like it was coming quite fast as well, getting higher and higher by the second and fast, really fast. So everybody's kind of like, fuck. And then my first reaction was like, well, I'm going to run to this building on my left because I was the closest to it. And I'm quite a good runner. So I thought, well, I'm going to run to this building. It was literally like 10 seconds run, 10 seconds run. So so I ran to the building, and my dad ran with me, and I think my dad beat me to it. So my dad went up first. I went behind him. We're both Cancerian, by the way. I'm Cancerian horse. He's Cancer a snake. If I would have been born a year earlier, I would have been a snake like him. And anyway, so my dad is going up quickly, so I'm following him. And as we're going up the building, it's one of these buildings where the whole building almost is made of glass, so you can see outside. So as we're climbing, every time we go past here, you know, like we climb up on, every time we end up here, we can see in front of us, we can see the sea, you know?
Yeah.
And then just as we reach the third level, I'm like right behind him, like the water just like whoa, just like bah, you know, lands on the building like bah, you know. So we kind of like, oh fuck, you know, just like freeze. And then I see the water like coming back down from the building. I'm just retrieving. I actually see all of that. And me and my dad wait. And then when we feel it's safe, we come back down. So we come back down, and luckily my mother and brother are still here, but some people are crying, and it looks like they've lost some people, you know. And I'm thinking, fuck, you know, like what the hell was that? And then, you know, and then we're all trying to recover, like catch our breath. And I look out, no, fucking second coming. So I'm like, oh my God. So same reflex. I go into that building. My dad beats me. It's exactly the same scenario. My
Yeah.
dad goes, I'm like right behind him. We reach the third floor, and then bah, again, like fuck. And then the water, we wait. And when we think it's safe, we go down. Luckily, my brother is still there. My mother's still there. More people are crying. It looks like we've lost some more people. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? And then all I just said, I'm thinking, what are we going to do? Third coming. But this time I just freeze. You know, like petrified, you know, like, you know, I freeze on the bloody spot, can't move. And I can see the sea coming nearer and nearer, unless it comes nearer, it seems to be getting so high that I can barely see the top of the wave. But then, you know, I'm frozen on the spot, but I can see 4 waves, one in front of me, one either side, and one behind me, and it's rising. And I'm looking up thinking, oh my God, I'm a goner. When this crashes on my head, like, that's it, I'm fucking gone, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the sea starts to curve, and I'm like, that's it, it's going to come crashing down, it's going to come crashing down. And just as it curves like that, and it's 4 waves, you know, 4 waves surrounding me, all of a sudden it turns into dark, black, blue, shiny cobra heads with red eyes and like a very yellow tongue hissing at me. It's coming down, but it's become 4 heads, and the heads are coming really about to fucking hit my, they're about to, like, you know, get me, you know, like they're coming down, whoa, like that, like on top of me. And I'm fucking hell. And I don't know what this voice came out from me. I don't know where it was coming from. Yeah. And I remember it said, it was me, of course, but I said, I am the goddess. Nothing can harm me. And just as I said that, oh my God, the heads went up. It became water again, and the water went and retrieved and came away from me. And then I woke up.
What did you take out of that, sister?
Well, I mean, a lot of things, because the next morning, that's when I learned about the bloody tsunami.
Oh, right. Okay. Similar to kind of me seeing something.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't even know it was called a tsunami. Do you know what I mean? It's not really a name I'd come across in my life, you know, like, I mean, I'm very good with my vocabulary, but, you know, there's certain things, like, because I didn't dwell on them. You know, it's not something I'd researched, so I didn't really know anything about it. But also, you know, like, I felt like, you know, like this things, you know, like about to devour me, you know. When I stood up for myself, I was like, you know, fuck off. Like, Piers, I'm not fucking scared of you. You know, whatever.
I mean, we are both water signs, so maybe it's the psychicness or the memory thing. Do you get what I mean? Because you're a Cancer, I'm Scorpio. We're both ruled by water, so
yeah.
very sensitive to things. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, very, very. And so, yeah, so I mean, that's just one of the dreams. I mean, I've got so many more I could tell another time, because I've got like a long list of them. On all of them.
I actually did a podcast with another. I don't know if you know this sister, Gabby Zakara. She's a syncretist as well.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of shows with her, and we done one specifically about dreams. And I remember I explained to you as well, like, but yeah, like I remember I was was it no, it was Rudolf Steiner. I was listening to a Rudolf Steiner speech on YouTube, and he was saying that apparently what dreams are a mixture of um
You've
things
eaten.
that you've seen and things that, like, just say for example, you might think of something, but it maybe in your life you'll never kind of get to see that place or see that thing. And he says like you mix that with your everyday life and it kind of comes together and creates an image.
Yeah,
That's what it was
good,
saying in the
yeah,
talk.
good. Gurdjieff used to say something a bit different. He used to say that if you're dreaming, that means your centers are not disconnected properly, and they're meant to be disconnected during the night, um, so that you get total rest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do dream all the time, that means you're not really resting properly. There's that to it. And I'm Gemini rising. I feel like I never really sleep well. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I slept well. I don't
I
even
mean,
remember.
with me, sister, I don't, because smoke. Like, I don't really remember a lot of my dreams, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah, but I smoke as well. I mean, I never used to smoke. I just used to eat, I used to have edibles, here and
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but
yeah,
quite a long time. But now I'm just kind of smoking a little bit, but it's not done anything
yeah.
whatsoever. I
Oh,
feel
like,
more relaxed, but I'm still not able to
yeah,
sleep with that noise. I can't do it.
yeah. It's interesting because, like, yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, the last really vivid dream I had was one of the most horriblest dreams, and it kind of came true, and it freaked me out. Which was
Yeah,
before my mum passed away. I had a dream that I was at one of my parents' funeral, and I don't know whose it was. Literally, it was about 3 months before my mum passed away. Like I saw it. I actually see it before it happened.
yeah, I've seen
And
that with my mom.
I remember I was shitting myself, but I didn't say nothing to anyone at the time. But like, I remember because obviously, like in our culture, when like uh people die, they have like a ceremony in a mosque or whatever. And the dream I'd saw was in the mosque with the coffin and all that. And literally 3 4 months later it happened.
That's what the same thing happened with me and my mom. Same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So like that was like the last really vivid thing. I mean, I've had some other like more funny ones. Like for example, like in our culture, there's a lot of like arranged marriages and stuff.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm laughing because I'm just remembering the dream. Um, yeah, and I remember one of them was like one was like an arranged marriage, and like they were trying to get me to go with some girl, and like I just said, "Oh yeah, all right then, I'll do it." But I didn't really want to do it. I just said, "Yeah, all right then, I'll do it." And then once I thought about it in a dream, I thought, "Hold on a second, I don't really want to do this." So I've called the person and I said, "Look, I want to be honest with you. Like, I don't really like you. I just said it because I didn't want to be horrible, kind of thing." And yeah, I remember everyone was like phoning me saying, "Oh, you're so out of order and all this and all that." But what that dream told me was always go with your heart and your gut instinct, and don't just say
Yeah.
yes to please other people. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I got out of that dream.
Yeah. I think another dream that stuck to me, very short one, was there's a place not far from Glastonbury where I live called Castle Carey.
Yeah,
I'd only been there 2 or 3 times, so I didn't really know Castle Carey very well, but I had gone past on the bus many a time, and it's a very pretty, very unusual little Somerset village, and still retain its character. So I kind of remember the high street. I've been to a couple of the coffee shops there, and one day there was because there was a friend of mine lived there. His parents had a massive piece of land, and I was helping him to harvest some of the no-dig gardening organic vegetable he was doing. So I was getting free vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So this is how I knew the place a little bit. Anyway, not very long before he died, I had this really weird dream. But it's maybe about 6 months before he died, and he died young. And I remember I came off the bus in Castle Kerry. That was the dream, and it felt so real. And I had this friend of mine from Glastonbury with me, and I said to her, "Let's go into this coffee shop because I know it's very nice in here." So we went into the coffee shop. We had a cuppa, came out, and I said to her, "Oh yeah, let's go by the little bit of water there. You know, it's really nice there." So we went because I remember there was a little bit of water past where the bus station was. So we went down to where everything looked like real. It looked like I was in Castle Kerry, and but then all of a sudden, to the side, I see like how do you call it, an arch from you know these old viaducts, you know, they used to carry water.
Yeah, viaduct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see like there's still a couple of, I think some of it's demolished, but you know I can see there's like a couple of arches, and I don't know why I'm drawn to go under the arch to go on the other side. So my friend stays behind, but I go through the arch, and then I end up in a really nice like piece of like a bit of woodland on grass, and the sun is shining, and really nice. I'm just kind of taking it all in on the river, and I'm like, oh wow, this is so nice. Anyway, then I'm thinking, yeah, I've got to go back, you know. So I start to go through the arch. I remember at that point I felt like it was so real, it was so lucid. I was having a really lucid dream, like I was in, it looked, everything was not out of place. It was Castle Kerry, exactly what it looks like, apart from that arch, you know. And so I'm going through the arch, but then I'm thinking, I keep walking, and I'm like, where's the end of that arch? And I keep walking, and I'm like, this is not possible. Like when I came through, it took what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds to go to walk through the arch. And I'm like, when does it, I don't remember it taking that long to come out on the other side. And I keep walking, and I just absolutely cannot find it just seems to go on forever. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? So all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming. I became aware that I was dreaming.
Ah.
I completely became aware, and I'm like, I don't want to lose that dream. But I thought I don't want to wake myself up. So I kept sort of like, I don't know, something happened in my mind, and I kept in that space, and I did not wake myself up until I finally reached the end of the arch. I finally reached it, came out, saw my friend, and I said, you know, like I'm in a dream. I don't think you're real, you know. And she went, oh really? And then I said, yeah, can I touch you? And I went to touch her, and then bosh, I woke up.
Wow.
It was like, wow, fucking hell. Like, you know, I became completely conscious that I was dreaming in the dream.
Yeah, what is that called when you're aware that you're dreaming? Is that lucid? That's not lucid dreaming, is it?
Well, it's not a term, because lucid means like everything looks real.
Yeah. I forgot there is an actual term for it, but I forgot what it's called.
I've never had it since again. That was the first and only
You know
time I
what? I
had it.
don't think I've ever had that, if I'm being totally honest. I can't remember being in a dream and thinking, yeah, I'm in a dream, and I know I'm in a dream. Like, I don't think, not that I can comprehend or remember. I don't remember having that feeling, if I'm being
Well, I've
honest.
only seen instances where you could call it a ghost or something. I was in Gao's house where I was doing my yoga training quite a long time ago now, and all the girls got the same story, that they got attacked or some ghost trying to have sex with them, and I rejected it. You know, that was my first experience. And then nothing for years on years, or maybe 8 or 9 years later, no, maybe 7 years later, then I just came back from France from doing my iboga ceremony, my first iboga.
Yeah.
It was a 3 days awake ceremony. It was amazing. And there was a guy there that liked me, but I kind of already had a boyfriend. But unfortunately, the guy I was seeing was married. It was like the catastrophe of my life, you know. When I was trying to leave, we were trying to leave each other, but we couldn't. I mean, it was like a disaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, I stayed behind, and there was this French guy that really liked me. And I did come to visit him. I didn't go out with him, but I went to visit him. And he lived like a wild man, you know, in the mountains, you know. But really, it was amazing, you know. In some ways, I could have seen myself living there. It just wasn't kind of the kind of guy I wanted. But
Yeah.
you know, but anyway, then I finally go back to the UK, and I've had a really deep experience, and not the morning. Not the morning after I came back, but the morning after that, because the guy I was only seeing him on Tuesday nights, literally Tuesday nights, sometimes Monday night, but it was always Tuesday night, literally just Tuesday night. And so all of a sudden, I'm in bed, I wake up, and everything is in order. I've got the window here. I can see like the light shining through my window because the window was behind my head. My little table here with the alarm clock, with my phone. I mean, everything, was there. But I was curved to the side like this. And then I kind of see and feel like two arms, an arm around me, like holding me really tight. And in French, I hear, come closer. And I'm thinking, this is weird. Like, but hang about, I'm in my room in the UK. Like, this French guy didn't come back with me. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then the voice changes. When as soon as I think that, the voice changes, and it goes, in English, it goes, come closer, taking the voice of my actual guy that was seeing at the time. And I'm thinking, hang about, it's only Tuesday morning. I don't see still. I'm thinking, what the fuck is in my fucking bed? And I went like that with my elbow. I went, whoa, like that. And then it's like I woke up again. And everything was exactly the same. The time was the same. Everything was the same, but there was no one there.
Wow.
And that has happened to me 3 times. And it happened to me 3 times in a row, like 3 nights after. Then another week after that, I had similar experiences. On each time, I pushed the ghost away. And
Wow.
it took the shape of my ex-boyfriend as well. On each time I managed, because I knew that it wasn't benevolent. I knew it wasn't right. And I'm like, no, you're not coming anywhere near me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting, man. It's crazy. Like, and can I ask, like, do you think it is like, how can I say? Because like, there's so many different theories on what dreams are and what they mean. Like, do you think it's like simultaneous realities, or do you think it's just something that your mind concocts
I don't
to
know.
be one?
Sometimes I think it's the mind. Sometimes, yeah, for sure. But I think there's other times, like you have had prophetic dreams, so
Yeah,
something else happening. Like even with the end of the world, I've had so many end of the way before this. Like I even knew anything about anything. I've had end of the
yeah,
world dreams. Um, always the same. I'm in a bubble. I can see everything going on down on Earth and all of that. But anyway, all I can tell you about dreams, that's the only thing I can tell you about dreams, is I love my dreams. I would love to go back literally and relive all my dreams, because my dreams have been so amazing. I have had
yeah,
the most amazing dreams all my life. Even though I'm not very well rested, I don't sleep well enough, I have the most amazing dreams. And just for that alone, oh my God, like I just hope that when I die, just live in my dreams forever, because I just have the most amazing dreams.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, like occasionally I get a really like, whoa, not very nice. Like I killed someone in one of my dreams as well
yeah.
once. Um, and yeah, and I've had some nasty dreams as well. But you're talking is probably about 2 or 3, maybe a couple of
Yeah, I've
percent.
had a couple nasty ones. I remember as well once, like this group of people tried to attack me, and then I stabbed someone. I've had loads of like not so nice dreams, but again, like with me, I don't take them literally. I take them as like messages, like that
Yeah,
might mean just make sure you stick up for yourself. And do you get what
yeah,
I mean? So
yeah,
like that's the way I kind of
yeah. That's all it means.
interpret them.
Nobody gets hurt in dreams anyway.
Have you got a lot in your ninth house?
Hmm?
Have you got have you got many planets in Sagittarius or your ninth house?
Nothing.
Oh wow, because I know that's like the house of dreams. Because yeah, I've got like because
But
I'm very
the house of Pisces is kind of dreams as well.
yeah exactly yeah
I've got Venus there. Yeah.
yeah yeah interesting. Because yeah, it's like weird. Like, obviously, we all have dreams, but I think, like I said, because I smoke, it's like I don't really remember many of them in recent times. So,
I
but
remember my ninth house, nothing in it. The only thing I've got there is Capricorn on the cusp,
right,
ruled by my Saturn in Pisces
yeah,
in 11th.
yeah, yeah, interesting. I haven't got nothing in my ninth, but I've got a stellium in Sagittarius, so I've got a lot of
Oh yeah, because you're
Sagittarius.
Scorpio, so yeah.
Huh?
Because you're Scorpio, you probably have Mercury or Venus there, no?
Yeah, I've got Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, and South Node,
Wow,
all in the fifth house in Sagittarius.
wow. My North Node is in Taurus,
Oh wow, yeah, my one's in Gemini.
literally conjuncting my Venus.
Yeah, yeah. How you doing for time, sister? You still good to go, or you got to go, or
Oh yeah, I'm good to go. I'm munching on raw chocolate on Mowbrays, like
nice? Because
raw chocolate with nothing in it. It's just pure raw paste, you know.
nice.
Mm.
Did you still want to touch up on the
Seven chakras, the seven
yeah, the
seals.
seven
Yeah,
seals and stuff like that?
yeah, because I've
I
been
just want to
doing.
say before we get into that, I've been really enjoying your videos that you've been doing about like the Jews and the Jewel and the syncretism, and because it's I've been looking into not I've always looked into all that stuff, but recently I've been coming across a lot of that info again, and it's just when I saw you talk about it as well, it just I thought, wow, it's interesting because I've been watching a lot of other people talk about all this stuff as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about it if you want, but since I've already done videos on it, I don't know if we need to go back into that, but I can talk about it. It's completely
And I
up to
was just saying, like, I've been enjoying those videos that you've been doing on it. Yeah, if you don't want to, because like you said, you've already done. I know you wanted to talk more about like the seven seals and I
yeah,
guess that connects with the vices and the virtues and the
that's
chakras.
right,
Yeah,
exactly. And you know, basically, I can't remember which one. I don't even have my list in front of me. Which one is associated with what? You could possibly Google it because I think it will tell you which chakra is associated with what. But it's interesting that they're also called the seven seals,
yep,
and also like the seven C's without the L.
yep,
You know,
yep,
without God. You know, without the L, which is God. You know,
yep.
and all of that. You know, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah. I
interesting.
mean,
But yeah,
do you want me to? Like, what I can do is, do you want me to share my screen and then we can? I'll go on Google and get up the. Where are we? Here we go. Google. Can you see my screen?
yeah.
Yeah. Seven vices. Choose.
Because I hadn't quite finished talking about because I wanted to talk about like in the Bible really there's like 12 there's the host which are the houses, the lords which are the seven luminaries, the seven
Yeah.
wandering stars, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
when you talk about the lord, there's seven different lords, three different realms, and then there's 12 different disciples.
yeah.
It's all corresponding to that. You could go into the numerology of it as well. Like, for example, well, one is one, of course, the
Yeah.
unity. Two is the male and female. Three obviously introduces the neutral, which is the sun.
Yeah.
And then after that, you've got four, and four apparently is the number of materialization.
Yeah.
So it's the one that materializes things, the cube, it's matter,
Yeah.
And anyway, then after that, you got the ether, which is the fifth element. Ether is in the name, ether, fifth element, and so on and so forth. So, and of course, seven, if you look at the letters, the letter, I mean, the number seven, the way it's drawn, because I think it all comes from Arabic, doesn't it? Or
Yeah.
numbers anyway.
I've also seen that. I always see this, sister. Let me show you. Is it Egypt numbers?
Because the
Is it no? Is it Egypt? Is it Arabic? Or you might be wrong. Is
yeah,
it?
but the number 7 is interesting because 7 is kind of Saturn as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
sever, like dead, death, sever, the scythe. The
Yeah,
scythe
the
looks like
set
that.
as well when you complete the set.
Set, you complete the set, yeah. So complete set 7. And then
Mhm.
8 is like, you know, like the point where it's like this, almost like the 0 point again, you know. And
Yeah,
then 9 and 0 are kind of the same. It's the womb, the tomb, and then the womb. In India, they use 0 as a number. So really, you know, you got 9 numbers, but plus the 10th is 1 on 0, and
yeah,
10 is 1 again.
exactly.
You know,
You know
and
what's
so on.
interesting about that? Do you want me to keep this up, or shall I
Yeah,
stop?
yeah,
Keep it up so if we're talking about something, we can show pictures and stuff. Yeah,
yeah. Because
yeah.
it's quite interesting because I love numerology, and the
Same.
number 9 is interesting because whatever you add to it, it stays the same. So 9 plus 1 is 10. So it's 1 again. So if you add 1 to 9, it stays 1. If you add 2 to 9, it stays 2.
Oh
You know,
wow, that's
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
interesting. So yeah, so 9 plus 3 is 12 equals
And then
3. Yeah,
whatever, yeah, and then whatever you multiply 9 by always adds to 9. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
9
Of
times 2
course.
is 18, which is 9. So
Yeah,
9
yeah,
is the highest number, you know,
yeah,
it's kind of like it's the ultimate highest number because after that it's 1 again.
yeah. But
And 9 is very similar to 0 because 0 plus 1 is just 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, which is 1 again. So
yeah,
0 and 9 are they're like it's almost like it's you know, like two zeros or something
yeah.
together.
Totally, totally. But what's interesting, sister? What I noticed is like because I did something on like the zodiac and the numbers and the odds and evens and stuff like that. So like for example, 11 is an odd number, but when you reduce it to a digital root of one digit, it's an even number.
Yeah,
So like 11 is 2, 12 is 3,
yeah,
13 is 4. So like although like 13 is an odd number, in its digital root it's an even number. So you
yeah,
also get that flip once it goes past 9,
yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like I love decoding numbers. I don't know if you saw my latest video I did with um I did a video about how the number 6 rules the zodiac. I don't know if you've seen that video.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. No.
Yeah, yeah. No, so basically, yeah, I've noticed like loads of patterns in the zodiac that corresponds to number 6. So for example, um obviously if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 12, it equals 78, which is the 78 cards in the tarot deck. But then 7 plus 8 is 15, and then 1 plus 5 is 6. So it's got this, but that's one way where the number 6 comes out. But also, if you take, for example, let me show you. Astrological chart. So, for example, I'll go into this one. Yeah, so for example, where am I? So Aries is 1. Oh, I'll get lost, man. So for example, Aries is 1, Taurus is 2, and Gemini is 3. Yeah, that's spring.
Yeah,
But 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6.
yeah,
So then you go to summer. 4 plus 5 plus 6 equals 15, which
yeah,
equals 6 again. And then Libra, 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals 24, which
yeah,
is 6. And then this Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces equals 33, which is also
yeah,
6.
yeah.
So there's like I've noticed there's a pattern, the number 6, and also in the Kabbalah, the sun is the 6th Sephiroth
Yeah.
in the 10 Sephiroth. So, and then someone said to me, "Oh, can you do something about opposing signs?" So, for example, Aries 1 plus Libra 7 is 8. And then if you do them all and then get the single roots, the single numbers, it adds up to 33, which is also 6 again. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm into doing a lot of decoding and numbers, and I love
I love it.
gematria.
I love it. I absolutely
And
love it.
like, for example, sister, like the word tetragrammaton,
Yeah.
right? That means the four-name word for God. But if
Yeah.
you in English gematria, tetragrammaton is 166, which is 13, which reduces to 4. So
Yeah.
although the word is alluding to 4, its value is also 4 as well.
Yeah. I was just going to get a book. Hang on.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. So like they're the things that I like to decode and um
There's
find
a
as well.
there's a, there's a book here that I've had for since I got this book when I was like 19,
Yeah,
very long time ago. It's out of print, but you may be lucky to be able to
yeah,
find one. The cover's completely gone too. I mean, the pages are falling
yeah,
apart. I've read it 3 times, but each time I get more out of it.
yeah, of
And
course.
even though it's not necessary, it's not really like necessarily based on the flat earth, it's based on astrology, numerology, and a guy that was called Sri Aurobindo. Have you heard of Sri Aurobindo?
No, I haven't.
So he was sort of like, well, I wouldn't say a guru, but he was a sort of master, and he wrote a lot of beautiful poetry, a bit like a Rumi, but he was also very philosophical.
Yeah,
He wrote some amazing works in India, and he was sort of he was partly responsible for building a community in India called Auroville, which
right.
was like one of the first proper communities to ever exist, which is completely messed up, I'm sure now,
Yeah,
infiltrated and all that. But back in the day, and they built a temple to the mother there called the Matri Mandir, and they actually use the 0 on the 9, and it's got the most beautiful. I mean, it's just amazing. It's in a place called
yeah,
Auroville. Anyway, this lady called Patricia, something Bachelor. I'll have to give you the name later. She wrote a book called The Gnostic Circle. So there's a little bit that I bought it because I was into Gurdjieff, and Gurdjieff was the
yeah,
first person in the West really to reintroduce the Enneagram to us. And so this book is just so amazing. I mean, you'd have to read it. It's just so amazing. I can't even describe how lucky I am to have this book. And as an astrologer in particular, because there's, I mean, I don't know if you can see it.
yeah,
So this map, in the center, you got the sun, or
yeah,
the portal. Then you have the enneagram, so it has the triangle, which is 369, which
yeah,
is very important because 3, 6, and 9 equals to 9 again.
yeah,
Then out of that, you've got the planets go where they're meant to be going. You can see that when you follow the enneagram, there's a break here, which makes sense because it's between Virgo and Libra, because this is where there's the descent into the underworld, really
yeah.
slowly but surely.
Sister, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen so I can see it bigger. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I can see it better now.
I'd have to make a photocopy, but apart from the fact that it's got the enneagram and the fact that it's got the planets where they go, there's the descent into the underworld. So there's a break here, which you get in music as well, because the enneagram works with music. Like the music, you've got 12 notes, but you've got
Yeah,
really 7 main notes, and then you've got the 2 breaks, which equals to 9. So you've got all of that. But then, even more interestingly, can you see the colored circle? Like some of it is in pink, orange, yellow, blue.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, I see it. Yeah,
all of that, right? It's divided into decanates and decanates of
yeah,
decanates. So apparently, because now we're in the age of Aquarius, we're in the first decan on the first well, we've been in the age of Aquarius since the 70s, by the way. It's nothing new. It's just that now we're feeling
it's
the
the
effects of
17th of.
the age of Aquarius.
From when did you say?
from the 70s, 1970s.
Oh, from the 70s, yeah,
Oh,
because that's when that song.
No. We entered the age of Aquarius in the 70s, absolutely.
Yeah,
But it's just that, you know, in the beginning, you start feeling the effects, but then the effects get grander, you know,
yeah,
because now we are really fully grounded in the age of Aquarius.
yeah,
So we're still in the first, because you know, it lasts like what, 2,500 years each age, doesn't it?
yeah,
So basically, according to this map, so we would be in, so also because, you know, astrologically, when you do a chart, you know, you imagine everything goes that way, like sorry, like that, yeah.
yeah.
But the universe, God Himself, herself, the omnipotent, if you want, its chart goes back the other way. So it doesn't go from Aries to Libra, it would go from Libra to Aries. So it starts in Aries, but it doesn't go to Taurus after Aries, it goes into Pisces.
Right. Are you talking about the ages going backwards?
Like the
Yeah, yeah,
ages,
yeah, yeah,
which go in reverse. So basically, right now, we're still in the beginning, we're still in the first decade of Aquarius,
yeah,
but the last decade, if you go forward or backwards, so we're going backwards. So we are the last decade of Aquarius because we're going backwards
yeah.
into the
Because it goes backwards through the
we
sign.
go
Yeah,
back, yeah, because we go back. So we're in the Libran decade. That's where we are,
yeah.
and then, but we are also
Because the first decan it's Aquarius, Aquarius, then Aquarius, Gemini, then
no,
Aquarius, Libra.
yeah, no. So the three decans of Aquarius, doing it the right way, would start with Aquarius, then Gemini, and then Libra. But
Yeah,
we're going in reverse. So we are in the
yeah.
decade of Libra. But then that decanate is further reduced, yeah, into let me see, where am I? Into three signs itself as well. So it starts with um, I'm sure we're still in the first bit of it. So we're in Gemini. We're in so we're in the decanate of Libra, but then that Libra is separated into three more
Three more.
signs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which are in at that point it's Gemini, Taurus, on Aries going backwards. So it's in we're in Gemini. I think most probably quite soon. Well, because you know we've not even been 100 years. You know, in the age of Aquarius, we've only been like 50 years or something in the age of Aquarius. So basically, yeah, we are also in another decan, you know, of Gemini. So it's very airy at the moment, very airy. But then that's also separated into four later on in the pink area. So there we would be in Capricorn, the age of Capricorn.
wow.
Yeah, and then after that would be Sagittarius. So we would still be in that Capricorn part. Then it's divided even further, which is the very last division. And there we would be in Cancer. So the prominent signs of the age at the moment are obviously Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, Capricorn, and Cancer. Those would be
Say that again. So Aquarius,
so
Libra,
Aquarius, because this is the age of Aquarius.
yeah, and all
Libra,
the two.
Libra because we're in the decan
Yeah,
of Libra. And then that decan is divided into three, the first three signs of the zodiac, starting with Gemini, then Taurus, and then Aries. So we're in the Gemini part. And then subdivided again into four, and then at that point it's in Capricorn, and then subdivided into 12 again. So even that portion of Libra is separated into 12 right at the end.
wow,
And that first portion is Cancer. The first
wow.
portion. So but it's obviously because it's divided into 12 here. So because each age lasts about what 2,300 years, was it something like that?
2,160. Yeah.
Because okay, so basically I think the Cancerian part will probably end in about 50 years at that point, and then we will be going into Gemini.
Yeah, so it's the cycles within cycles, basically.
Cycles. This map is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I will need to photocopy it because
You know you're talking about decadence because when I was doing videos for the Syncretism Society, I did like a couple of videos on decans, and they like this because there's loads of different systems. There's like that system I think is called the triplicity system, if I'm not mistaken.
right. There's triplicity and quadruplicity.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah.
there's also um, there's a Chaldean system. There's different systems. I can't remember them off because, for example, there's one where it follows the orbits of the pattern. So, for example, it will go Sun, Mars in Aries. It will be Sun, Mars. No, it would no, because I remember what. Yeah, no, it would be. I think Aries one. Yeah, it ends with Mars and starts with Mars, so it goes Mars, Sun, and then Venus, and then the first decan of Taurus is Mercury in that system. And then it goes Moon, and then Saturn, and then it just keeps repeating the cycles of the planets in their orbits, because Saturn is the longest, then it's Mars, no, then it's Jupiter, then Mars, then the Sun, then
Yeah.
Venus, Mercury, Moon, and it just keeps going round.
This is the other map.
Yeah.
So this map's from the same book, yeah. So it's according to Hindu, literature.
Yeah.
We are now in, I think it was the 49th manifestation. So so we're in Aquarius. Oh yeah, this is what I like about this system as well. So as you can see, the first three signs, of course, which are Aries, Taurus, and Gemini.
Yeah.
So they're separated into four, yeah. So those first three, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, are in the vital part.
Right.
No, sorry, physical part. This is the most physical part of the zodiac. And it has to be, you know why? Because Aries is the top of the head, it's the lightest. Yeah. So to bring it back down to earth, it belongs to the most dense, that it's the first physical manifestation. Yeah. So even though Gemini is an air sign and Aries is a fire sign, this is still in the physical, because when you are born, you're in the physical, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is this is a very physical part. And even when you look at your chart, your first, sort of like 16 years, until you become kind of an adult, it corresponds to that part, the physical part of your chart. Now, the next part, obviously, is Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, and that belongs to the vital part.
Right.
This is the vital part. So this is like the heart is very vital, obviously it's your heart, and so on and so forth. But this is the vital part. So this has a lot of energy, because Cancer is birth as well, don't forget. So these signs usually would have good, sort of like, luckily for Cancer, because Cancer is one of the hardest signs. I know that. So this is the vital part. Then after that, you've got Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, and this is the mental part of the zodiac.
Right.
Right. And then after that, you've got the spiritual part.
Yep, makes
Capricorn,
sense.
Aquarius, and Pisces.
Yep.
So if you look where we are now, we are in the if I remember, I think it's
that's got the cross quarter days in that map, hasn't it?
So here we're here on the Pali. According, if you read that book, it will tell you we're here now. We're in the 49th manifestation, which is here on that circle here. On the way back, it's going further out, yeah. And we're in the spiritual part, of course, because we're in Aquarius. So we're here, So we're at the moment, and we're going backwards. Don't forget, with the divine, like you go backwards.
Yeah. What's interesting about that diagram, sister? It's got the cross quarter days in it. I've noticed.
Yeah.
From Taurus to Scorpio and from Leo to Aquarius. Yeah. Perfect signs, because that all connects with a lot of like the research.
The Sphinx in Egypt, is a
exactly. There you go.
Mixed with the man on a bull,
Exactly, and that's also like, they say in the Bible, in Ezekiel, when God had the face of a bull, a lion, an ox, and a man. It's the four fixed signs, which corresponds with Yod He Vah He, because if you add up the numbers, Taurus 2, Leo 5, Scorpio 8, and Aquarius 11 equals 26, and Yod He Vah He in Hebrew Gematria is 26 as well. And then in the Bible, it says that God had the face of those four beings.
And Aquarius is the ego, but it's also man.
Yeah.
It's a sign of man as well.
Yeah. And what's interesting, sister, is that because I've done a lot of research into like Islam and astrology and astrotheology. A couple of years ago, I found out that the four corners of the Kaaba are the four fixed signs, basically. So the north is Taurus, the east is Aquarius, the west is Leo, and the south is Scorpio. But there's a reason why they're all in that particular because basically the north is Taurus, because north of the Kaaba is where most of the land on Earth is, like where Eurasia is, and then west of Kaaba, which is Leo, is where the Sahara is and Egypt. So that's where you get the fire and the dryness. And
Yeah.
then south of the Kaaba is where most of the water is in the south of the earth. So that represents Scorpio, and that also represents the pilgrimage. They all represent the five, the pillars of Islam as well. So the first one, Aquarius, is faith. Taurus is charity.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Leo is fasting, Ramadan,
Yeah.
and then Scorpio is pilgrimage because it's about transformation.
Yeah, because Venus on her positive side is charity.
Yeah,
She is
exactly.
pure charity on her positive side, you know.
Yeah,
And I know all about that because I've got Venus in Taurus, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, it makes sense. And each sign also has, for example, another constellation which is in Cancer is the unicorn.
yep. Oh,
You know,
that's so interesting, sister, that you mentioned that. Is it monocrop? What's that?
Monoceros.
Monoceros. That's it. Because it talks about it's something to do with the opposing Capricorn. That's why they've both got the horns. I've got, I've
Yeah,
I've done this about this in my. Let me share my screen. Actually, I
yeah.
think I've got the slide.
And
One
well,
second.
for that, I was going to say, I was going to repeat a little something I said in one of my videos lately, which was about
Yeah,
Capricorn, because I was talking about the calendars. And yes, of course, it's true, you know, that Aries, you know, being the first sign of the zodiac, being spring, it would make absolute sense. Our calendar started in Aries.
yeah,
But I think there's also a very good reason why it's in Capricorn,
yeah,
because Capricorn, you know, like, so the winter solstice is anytime between the 21st and 23rd of December each year, at the exact point when Sagittarius leaves, when the sun leaves Sagittarius to come into Capricorn, being the longest night of the year. And then it appears to be stationary for about 3 days until the
yeah,
25th of December, when then the light returns and then the day starts to get lighter and lighter. And another thing about Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, Saturn is also Pan, you know, in Greek mythology.
yeah,
And Pan means all on everything. And as you know, Saturn rules the bones, the skin. It rules our ending, our extremities, you know, the skin, our limitations, which is our skin. But it also rules our bones, you know, our very core, you know. And Saturn is lord of this place, really, because it kind of rules the crown when you get fully, you know, when you raise your seven, you know, when you raise through your seven chakras and finally reach your pineal and pituitary to get away to the crown, you become crowned, you know, like a god, like a king, you know. And Saturn also rules that. Saturn rules. This is why Saturn is the Lord. But Saturn has another name as well, which is Janus, which is January.
yeah.
Yeah.
Janus, yeah, the
Yeah,
two-faced god. Yeah,
yeah, he looks both ways. And the reason being, this is why in Greek mythology, Saturn devours his own children. Because any children that have been naughty, that have squandered their seed, that have not had, that have had riotous living, and you know, have been immoral and all of that, will get swallowed up and recycled back for reincarnation.
yeah,
But if you pass the test of Janus, then you're propelled into the good side of Capricorn, because Capricorn is the lowest. Capricorn is the lowest in our world, but in reverse, it's the very top.
yeah. It is. Yeah,
At the top.
exactly.
Yeah. And Saturn is also ruling Aquarius. And Aquarius is, you know, like the ultimate, you know, Uranus, Urine, gold. You've reached immortality. When you go into the highest realms, first you have to go through Capricorn, where you either recycle back or you make it to Aquarius. And then from there you can have your own dissolution and be recycled back again, or you can do what you want. You become a god in your own right. You know, this is why there is nothing wrong really with having the calendar starting where it does, because it's the return of the light. So,
Yeah,
you know, and you could also, like, as I said, you could also even start the calendar, like I think they do with the 13 moon calendar. They started in July, I think, in Cancer, you
yeah.
know, something like
It's
that.
funny
But
because
Cancer is birth. Cancer is birth. Yeah.
yeah, because also Cancer is the gateway of men, and Saturn is and Capricorn is the gateway of gods. So
Yeah, Saturn is death, but it's rebirth as well.
yeah,
But rebirth into the highest realms, or rebirth, reincarnated again and again and again and again. That's why Saturn is also number 8. He's 7, but 8 is also Saturn.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
9
yeah,
is
because L in gematria comes to 8.
yeah.
L, right,
Yeah.
which is Saturn, and
On
also
9 is meant to be Pluto, you know, the abyss before you
yeah,
come back out again as one, you know.
yeah.
So yeah,
I was looking for something to show you, sister. I had a slide when you mentioned about the unicorn in Cancer because I did about it in another show, but I
all right.
couldn't find it for some reason, or I don't want to look. It might take me ages to find, but yeah, I remember because did a show about some symbology in like we did about like the symbology in like car manufacturers and all that type of stuff. And I remember you because when you mentioned the unicorn about cancer, oh, that's what it was. You know in the royal symbol, you got the lion and the unicorn.
Yeah, that's right. On the
Yeah, that's
unicorn,
what it is. It's Cancer and Leo. That's what it was. Yeah, that's it. I've just
yeah,
remembered it now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've
because
looked into recently. I've looked into heraldry. Heraldry. You know, which is like like when your family might have a banner, of some kind, a kind of
yep,
emblem, a kind
yep,
of yeah. On my family, both sides of my family have an emblem, a proper one, and depending on the animals or anything that is representing in that banner, it's connected to one of the 12 tribes,
yep,
one of the 12 tribes of Israel, because of course we are all Israel, because Jacob is inside, everything is inside of us, as you know, the whole Bible,
yeah,
all of it. So there is no Bethlehem out there. Bethlehem is our manga, it's our belly, on so on
yeah.
and so
It's
forth.
Virgo, isn't it?
Exactly, and everything is within, and this is where people go wrong with their Bibles, because they read them exoterically rather than esoterically. This is the problem,
Yep,
So, and of course, as you know, when Jacob reaches he reaches a place called Pinel, that's your pineal gland, and he sits with God face to face, which is the pineal gland, the crown.
yep,
And then he becomes Israel, because then he becomes in charge of his own disciples. He becomes a god in his own right, and so can any other human being. And this
yep.
is why the people that practice the Old Testament, you see, like, what people don't realize, the Bibles, all of that, they're ancient books, they're timeless. You can't even put a date on them. They're timeless books. They come from the Essenes or the Gnostics, but who knows who came before them?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably even older than that. And so all the knowledge, obviously, it's knowledge about the self. And so, that's what I was saying, that there was no tribe called the Jews in the Bible whatsoever. It never existed. There was a tribe called the Yehudis, which was a kind of evil tribe.
Yep,
But the term Jew never was there. It was Jewel. It was jewel, because, when you practice the Old Testament, and if you practice it properly, because it's a biological book on how to raise your Kundalini through the 7 seals, then you become a jewel in your God crown. You become your own. You become crowned. You become God. You become a Jew. You become
yep.
a true Jew. There are no Jews by birth, and this is where the rabbis and the high priests have confused everything on purpose, so that they can have little minions, helping them along their evil plans.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
it's the
That's all
same
it
with
is.
the 144,000 on Mount Zion. It's to do with the petals in your chakra system. So, for example, if
Yeah,
your root chakra 4, your sacral chakra 6, your solar plexus 10, the heart 12, the throat 16, and your third eye 96 is 144 times the 1,000 petaled lotus is the 144,000. So it's
yeah.
ultimately just talking about ascension.
Yeah. And the ascension is within, of course,
Yeah,
And so, they've confused the name on purpose, which is very unfortunate, because Judaism, by the way, is only about 800 years old. It's rabbinical. It's nothing to do with the Old Testament, or the original Torah. Everything's been confused on purpose,
yeah,
And this is why I was saying in one of my videos, this is why in the past, the people that held all that knowledge, it was very closely guarded, because it's not because I didn't, it's not because I didn't want to give the knowledge to everyone. But if you're an idiot, especially in our times, then they know that when the dark ages come, there's going to be a lot of idiots.
Yeah.
So that knowledge, if it falls into the wrong hands, which is exactly what's happened, see the results, of what happens. And of course, if you're an idiot, you read the Bible, you read it, you believe everything it says as is. You're like, oh my God, these people killed these, and no, it's all to do with your world within. And this is what people have to understand, And El means God, Jewel means you, God. You are God, And this is why it's true that the Jews are God's chosen people. It's true, but you have to know what a Jew is. And a Jew is somebody who's risen their Kundalini, firing on all cylinders.
You know what's so crazy, sister? Like you get all them people that go to Hyde Park and they like argue, all these religious people. I don't know if you've seen that before, Speaker's Corner.
I think I've seen it on YouTube. Yeah, I would never go.
But like, I was watching one, and there was this Muslim guy and this Christian guy, and they were arguing about like the Lamb of God on Mount Zion and the 144,000, and they're arguing about all this historical stuff, and I'm watching it like slapping my face. I'm like, oh, like if you guys only knew, like you're both wrong, like
they are both wrong.
Like it's so frustrating sometimes because like I've tried to talk to religious people and like say, nah, look, it really means this and it really means that, and they just don't want to know. Like,
it's crazy, isn't it?
I remember.
I even know some people that they're really awake on every level, but you try to talk to them about syncretism, on the Bible, on the vegan diet, and all that, and they start switching off.
Yeah,
it's really crazy, really crazy. I mean, I think it's not, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I think it's just that some of us, we just happen to, we came back here for whatever reason to kick some ass and to learn some stuff and to definitely try to ascend this time round. And not everybody's going to make it, because some people, if you live your life constantly just outwardly, the only way out is in. And really, I wouldn't even say it's in. It's a mixture of both, really, because it's all very well to say, this body will die. Well, it will die, but you've been given this body. Look after it. You still have to look after your body. Your body carries your soul. This is how it all works. Everything is material in this universe. I maintain that everything is material. Even the spiritual is material. It's just finer material.
More less dense.
Fine, like an oil, but that's why it's lighter. It rises because it's light, and heavy to me, like the light on the dark. For me, the dark really is heaviness. It's not like a color. The color black is heaviness. It's either heavy or it's light. You're either light or you're heavy.
Yeah, because the thing is, sister, like obviously I got into like syncretism through Santos and through other people, and obviously it's very heavily based on all the Bible stuff. So what I did with me coming from a Muslim background, I thought, you know what, I want to dive deep into how syncretism and astrotheology relates to the Quran and the Kaaba and Mecca and I've found so much. I've got a video on it. It's like 2.5 hours long.
I've seen some of your stuff. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's crazy and what's so annoying is that I want to share all this stuff to Muslims so bad, but it's just, at the same time, it's just and again, I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet or to sound big-headed but I just think some people are not ready for it. Like you said, some people are just not ready for this info.
They're just not ready. And at the end of the day, we can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the issue. We can put it out there. We can put the truth out there.
That's exactly.
Some people will resonate and look further into it, and then other people are just not ready. And what we're going to do? I'm not going to waste my life trying to wake somebody up. I mean,
exactly. That's the point I've come to as well.
I'm here to enjoy my life. I'm not here for anything else. I'm here to learn, but I'm also here to enjoy my life. I mean, I didn't come here to be a sour puss face and work 10 hours a day. I came here to enjoy myself. And if everybody realized that, everybody, can you imagine if everyone on earth stopped working tomorrow? If everyone decided that's it, no one going to work, they're fucked.
Of course they're fucked, yeah, but it's just
that's all we need to do. Fucking everybody stop. Just stop. I don't care.
Everyone's under such hypnosis is that they can't see it, or they don't, you know, they're not resonating at that frequency to see that, you know, the system, we are
I'm
the
not
ones holding
talking
it
about
up.
stopping. Yeah, and I'm not saying stop working like during the COVID nonsense, you know,
Yeah,
because people were still working. I mean, really, everybody stopped working, even the nurses, everybody. Can you imagine how fast this world, you know, we start getting back on the right path, you know?
yeah,
I mean, that's just one of the things we need to do. There's many other things we need to do.
yeah,
We need to hurt the beast where it really hurts, which is in his fucking heart. You know, like just go straight for the jugular, you know?
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean,
you know, go straight for the purse, you know. That's what I mean. Like in France, they had it, you know, this is the one thing I like the most about where I come from in France. You know, France is well known for, you know, rebelling on, you know, protesting, you know,
yeah,
whatever. But I love the way they protest though, because it's a bit more intelligent than the way, you know, people do it here. So I remember, I think it was about 20 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, there was a massive how do you call it, a strike, you know, in Paris, well, the whole of France. But what happened, you know, in this country, when there's a strike, you know, like the people that work for the underground on the buses, well, they go on strike, so nobody can get to work. Yeah. Oh no, in France, they do the other way around. They go to work. They all go to work, but they open all the gates so everybody travels for free. You know,
yeah,
everybody travels for free for 2 or 3 months because sometimes the strikes last months in France, you know, months, you know. So they covered, you know, the money wise, they're covered by their, I can't remember, they've got some kind of body, you know, looking after them or whatever.
yeah.
So, you know, that way they hurt them where it hurts, you know, in the bloody pocket, you know. But then there's other things as well, you know, deeper things that we could talk about, you know, how to stop what's really going on. I mean, there's other things we could talk about another
Yeah, I
time.
mean, we can always do more videos, man. That's what I mean. Like, because like you said, we could go into so many like different things. But yeah, I mean, yeah, with me, sister, it's weird. I actually did a video because it's weird. I haven't done videos in like 7 months, and like I did my first couple of videos over this weekend, and this is my third one. I'm just trying to get back into it, and
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah, so like yeah, it's crazy. And I was saying in the video, it's just like I've learned all this stuff now, and a lot of it's becoming repetitive. But what my next aim is now is like, right, I've been on this journey for 10 years, I've gathered up all this information. Now I need to actually try and apply it in my life. Do you get what I
Yes,
mean? And
of
use
course,
it
it's always
rather
that.
than just keep talking of like, because like I feel like you get to a point where you're just addicted to knowledge, but then you're not actually doing anything with the knowledge. Do you get what I mean? So now I feel like I'm in that point, right? I've got all this knowledge. So what do I need to do? One, I need to apply it to myself first
Yeah,
and foremost. And second, I want to just do some videos to help others as well, or not necessarily help others, just give, like you said, we can't force people, just give them, just share the info, and whoever wants to take it can take it, and whoever doesn't want to take it
exactly.
doesn't.
Exactly.
I just feel like there's a saying, and it's so true, your vibe attracts your tribe. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
however you are, you will attract similar people. Or like for example, like until I got on my journey with this stuff, it's like in the real life, it's like I had no purpose of what I was kind of doing. But when I became vegan, I thought, right, so now maybe like in the future, I can work in the vegan industry, or I can. So it's like I manifested a path for me, or some sort of thing that I want to work for. Do you get what I mean? Like a cause.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's what I love about my journey, is that it's helped me actually find some sort of a real direction in life, rather than before that I was just doing anything, just get money, go football on the week, just like just normal shit basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like my purpose in life is a bit more deeper than just the everyday world, and it's
Yeah.
become
For
more.
me, it's, for me, it's just a bit different. I mean, I'm probably a bit older than you anyway, because
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm going to be 58 this year. And So, you know, I've done so much stuff in my life. I've learned so much stuff. And for me now, I am imparting knowledge now. I met a really nice guy. It was quite a while ago, but we just started to hang out like about 4 months, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And he's just a friend, you know, he's just a friend, but we get on so well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a male version of me almost, you know, but it's
Yeah.
Capricorn, it's opposite. So he looks really sweet, but don't let that fool you. He's a warrior. And in fact, he's a vegan warrior. I mean, he's been to kosher houses, he's been to places where he's been beaten up, you know. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, really amazing guy. He's 22 years younger than me, but he's really eager to learn. And you know, I've got so much knowledge. I don't have any children. And then in Glastonbury, I have a few friends that maybe a couple, but you know, some of them are not always permanently here. That I can talk about syncretism, but really, there's not really that many people here. Like
There isn't, sister. Do you
no,
know what I'd
it's
find?
mainly new age nonsense here on Satanist fucking nonsense as well here. To be very
Do you
honest.
know what I find? Apart from you, and I've got another friend who I met through syncretism here. Her name's Tanya. Apart from you two and my brother, and there's no one else I feel like I have a really true connection with.
Yeah.
But that, like, I know what you're talking about. You know do you get what I mean? Like, we understand like what we're talking about. Whereas, like, all my actual friends that like I have deep connections with, and I have these Zoom calls, they're all abroad, which is really strange for me.
Yeah.
Like, all my best friends that I talk to in this community, they're all either in America.
Yeah, me too. I've got one in America, one in Brazil, one in Mexico.
Yeah,
And this is for me to meet someone that I connect so much and well with is so unheard of that when I met Nila, you know, like I'm holding on to him, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you're my
yeah,
mate, you know. So he literally comes around once every couple of days. He's writing a book as well, so I'm probably going to see him a bit less now because
yeah, yeah,
it's going to be because otherwise we just end up talking all night and then I get
yeah,
too many late nights as well. So you know, so it's probably only going to come around once or twice a week now. But you know, literally, he was coming around like almost sometimes even every night. You know,
yeah,
and but it's just so amazing. I've learned quite a lot from him as well. And it's good for me to have a Capricorn in my life because
yeah.
you know, being the opposite sign, it's kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
I lack Saturn. All of them, I completely lack Saturn. You know, like it's the
Yeah,
one thing.
I lack earth as well. Like, for example, in my chart, I'm fire dominant, then water, then air, and then earth. I only have 10% of earth out. My placement.
Because I have
Yeah.
quite a bit of earth. I'm very mixed because I've got no fire at all, no
Oh
fire, no
wow.
Sagittarius. No, yes, but there's a big but. And this is where, you know, in astrology, you have to take that into
Yeah,
consideration as well. It's the fact that my 3 fire planets are in a fire house, like my Mars, Sun, and Jupiter are the 3 of them are in my house of Aries. That's why I come as
yeah.
being very Aries. And then all my other planets are in my 5th house, which in my
Wow.
house of Leo, in my house of Leo.
Yeah,
And
so what have you? How many
and
have
then
you got in the fifth?
I've got the Moon, Uranus, and Pluto.
Wow. So yeah, I've got a packed fifth. I've got Sun, Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, and South Node all in my fifth. So my
Well,
fifth is pretty.
I've got Pluto, Uranus on my moon in my
Yeah,
fifth. Yeah. And so, you know, so these are my 2 populated houses. It's my first and my fifth. And then I've got my Mercury in the 3rd. And then I've got Saturn in the 11th and Venus in my 12th.
yeah.
I'm
See,
so typical house, Venus in my
mine,
12th.
sister, are all at the bottom. The only one I have at the top is my moon, and that's my
I've got,
Taurus moon in 11th.
oh, I've only got 2 at the top. I've got Venus as well
Yeah,
and Saturn.
yeah.
They're the only 2 I've got at the top, Saturn on Venus. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Because even that's what I say to people. Like, you can even read a chart. You can even, for example, you can look at a chart and just see by if most of your planets are at the top or at the bottom. You can even just like get an idea straight away of how that
Yeah.
person will be, whether they're more
Yeah.
introverted or they're
And
more extroverted.
you could also apply this. So, for example, I've got a lot in my first house, so the physical is quite important to me in many ways.
Yeah,
But because it's Gemini, Cancer, on Leo, you know, then my physical is quite vital as well in some
Yeah.
ways. And then I've got, and then of course my fifth house is in the vital part. So for someone that was born very premature, 7 weeks premature, nearly dying, it's given me a bit of vigor, vitality.
Yep.
You know, it's given me
Yep.
vitality to have quite a few planets here. And then my other ones are in my spiritual part. You know, I've got one in the 11th and then one in the 12th. You know.
Yep.
So for me, it's the thing I've got the most missing is my mental. But then I'm fucking mental because I've got Mercury in Cancer in my third house. So I'm already mental. I didn't need any more than that. You know what I mean?
You know
So
what's funny, sister? You're talking about Mercury and that. I saw someone sent me a meme the other day about all the serial killers.
oh yeah, I think I saw that.
And
I saw
literally,
that.
they're all mutable signs. And I thought, you know what? This can't be true. So I thought, let me go and check the birthdays of all these names, and they were all true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Fucking
not surprising.
crazy. Most
Yeah.
of them were Geminis and Virgos, which
I've got lots
makes
of
sense because of Mercury and the mental thing, like you were saying. But also, it makes sense that they're all mutable signs because mutable is about death as well. It's about the ending of
yeah,
something.
solution. Yeah,
Yeah, so like that also like made sense as well. And I was like, wow, like it really freaked me out because I thought, you know what, that can't be true, man. Like every single one of these people can't all be mutable signs. But I actually like checked about 10 of them in the
yeah.
list,
Gemini makes sense.
and they were all, it was all correct. I was like, wow.
By the way, let's come back to the seven seals. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can put that page back up again, but
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. What?
can't
Yeah,
remember because you know what I was going to say is that inside of us there is a snake, okay, which is your kundalini really,
yeah,
but it is a snake, and the snake, you know, has two heads in some ways. You know, you got the Ida, obviously you got the Ida on the Pingala, yeah.
Ida and Pingala. Yeah.
But but what happens is the snake, as it starts to rise, it will get tempted, and of course the first temptation is at the bottom, and I can't remember what that corresponds with. It could be, I think, gluttony is most probably possibly the stomach. I guess the belly chakra.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sex chakra would be lust. Um, but I'm trying to remember what the root
Yeah, here
is.
they are. Can you see them?
Yeah, survival and fear, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you have fear, anyone that has fear, like, you know, got so fearful they got vaccinated, you know, all that nonsense, they live in that chakra and they will never be able to rise to the next
yeah,
level. Not possible. Now the next one is guilt. So you know, so instead of having a pleasure, which is instant gratification, you can turn that into joy as well. Rather
yeah,
than having guilt, you turn that into joy, and then you can rise further. So after that is willpower or shame, you know. So that's the belly
yeah,
chakra. Um, so yeah, if you misuse your willpower, then you'll get stuck in that chakra for
yeah,
sure. And then if your heart is rotten, you'll never be able to get past that. Now, what the interesting thing is, I think it corresponds to, yeah, the willpower chakra. In Egyptology, they have an animal that corresponds to something there. I think it's between the heart and the willpower chakra, and it's called
yeah.
the Amrit, Amrit.
Do you want me to
And it,
check that up?
yeah, and it looks like a crocodile, and he's the judge. He judges you, and if your heart is bad, if you've misused your three chakras, you come back again.
Yeah.
So it kind
How
of
do you
corresponds.
spell that?
How do I spell
What do you say? Amarit.
Amrit? So Amrit.
Uh, e-
Amrit.
is it this?
Hang about. I'm going to do it on my computer because I might find it
Okay.
easier to
Oh,
do
I
on
think
my.
this is it. Here we go, sister. This one.
Yeah, that's why it's a crocodile. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, and it devours your heart. You know, it'd be like in Tibet, they have like, I can't remember what they're called, like not the nagas, but they've got another term for some beings that look a bit like a cockroach, and they devour you, and they work for Kali as well. You know,
yeah,
they devour, because Kali, Saturn, they're all the same. this is Saturn as well, because Saturn will devour your heart, it will devour you, and then you're recycled again because you haven't passed those 3 chakras. You're not even able to reach your earth level, which is your heart, you know. And so once you've done that, then it gets easier, but it's still a lot of work, you know, to go into the next 3 chakras, you know. So this little thing there in Egyptology will devour anybody's heart, and you can never make it pass. So this is why, you see, the elite have found a way to get away to the crown and get crowned without raising their kundalini. This is why in Egypt you see the serpent coming out of their third eye.
Yeah. What's the serpent coming out of whose third eye?
You know, in Egypt, like, you'll
Oh,
see
yeah,
like
with the
the
serpent.
pharaoh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that they have found a way, and this is what you'll see, like in when Egypt went completely corrupted, you'll see a lot of phallus symbols, you know, because they were the penis cult infiltrated Egypt, unfortunately, yeah. And so what happened was the reason why the elite like to bugger children or like to be buggered themselves, because because you see the chakras are paired. So the lower, the root chakra is paired with the crown, and the sex chakra with the pituitary and pineal, because obviously the sex can be male or female, so pituitary, pineal, and then the belly, you know, is with the throat. And of course, if you have a problem in any of these areas, you'll have a problem with its opposite as well. That's why circumcision completely buggers your pineal and pituitary glands, you know. And the only way to redress it is as much meditation as possible and creative outlets, like, you know, constantly being engaged in something to keep the balance, so that you don't go bipolar, you know. And so this is an evil practice that has to be stopped. It has to be stopped.
Yeah, you know, you just mentioned that, sister, about circumcision, because that's like something that was really big in our culture when I was growing up, and it happens. Obviously, I had to get circumcised as well, but I remember the day when I did, I was petrified.
Well, I'm not surprised.
And also, I remember.
How old were you? Because usually the Muslims, they don't do it. They do it after the age of 5 usually.
Yeah, I was 4.
Oh my God! So you were still quite young, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy, sister? I remember, like, because I remember the day it was happening, but I don't really remember. Like, I remember we was going to my uncle's house because it was my cousin who's a doctor who used to do it. So like, I remember my mum and dad, they bought me this big Knight Rider car, like toy, because I used to like Knight Rider, to kind of
put your mind off it,
basically. And I remember we went upstairs. I just remember I got a needle in my bum, and then I fell asleep, and they done it.
Wow. Well, at least, I mean, it's better than with the Jews. The Jews, they do it without any anesthetic, without any painkillers, nothing like that. But yeah, the Muslims, I heard, they never circumcise until the boys can read. So you would have been already reading at the age of 4 then.
Yeah, I remember that, and I think, and like, as the more I've grown up, I used to think, how does that even make sense? If God is perfect and his creation is perfect, then why would he need to alter it?
Yeah, exactly. But I reckon this is just me thinking that, because, you know, I've studied a lot about circumcision on the effects of it, you know, on every level. You're talking physiologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels. It's really evil, really evil.
Yeah, it is, man.
But what I discovered, I'm pretty sure I'm right with that. There is something weird about circumcision happening on the 8th day. You know, when the Jews do it on the 8th day.
Right.
Because something, again, it's kind of connected to Saturn, I guess, you know. So as a newborn, you know, like number 7 and 8 are both Saturnian numbers. They're both Saturn. 7 the side, on 8, which is recycling, you know. The two faces. This is Janus is the number 8. That's what it is, you know. One face that way, one face that way. So on the 8th day, something happens physiologically. Is our pineal and pituitary kind of bloom, you know. It's like when they kind of bloom, they come out. It's almost, because, you know, it's the same with, you know, the penis is in a little bit and then it kind of comes out, you know. And this is meant to happen around this on the 8th day. So that's one of the reasons why they would do it on the 8th day. But the other reason, I reckon, because don't forget that the rabbis, I don't know if you're aware of that, you know, they all try and follow a lot of each Jewish family usually are assigned a rabbi.
Yeah.
That will follow them all their lives, yeah. to make sure keep them in check. Yeah, and so they would know when some, you know, Jewish ladies are pregnant or about to give birth and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, I reckon it is very true that people like the Rothschilds or Orsini's, you know, well, the Orsini's are Rothschilds, whatever. You know, they obviously, you know, they're from that background of so-called Judaic. I'm going to call it Judaic rather than Jewish, because Jewish, as we know, is a completely doesn't mean that at all. And I reckon they have found a way to get recycled because they don't want to leave Earth. Now they know that if they die, they'll be recycled, but with more lessons, with all the shit they've done, they're going to have a really hard life in their next life. So they have found a way. Basically, what they do is this is just something I really feel inside of me that this is true. What I'm about to say, which is if it's performed on the 8th day, just before, because I think that that's on the 9th day. That's when the pineal, like pituitary, start to really come out and perform, and it's obviously connected to our spirituality. So they don't just do that to cut the spirituality or make the boys bipolar. And of course, you know, circumcision makes people more subservient. You know, this is why it's easier for them to keep them on the Judaic cult, even the Muslim cult, because you know you're more likely to really believe what you're told. You know, it's you know, it was originally it was done not for that because it was a desert on Sam, but for slavery, you know. But the other thing I've discovered, especially when done on the 8th day, you know, the rabbis recite these so-called prayers. You know, it's called the brise, by the way. Brise in French means to cut, yeah. And so it cuts the spirit, yeah. And I know that, you know, people that I've talked to, a few people that were circumcised that remember their circumcision, and they came out of their bodies. And I reckon what they do when it's performed on the 8th day, without any anesthetic or painkiller, the child has no choice, especially at that, to come out of the body, completely come out of the body, yeah. And then another soul can enter.
Wow.
And then sometimes the soul might not win all the time, so that's why the boys become very bipolar, especially at 8 days. 1 minute they'd be like, oh my God, you're like, oh my God, this is a beautiful angel of God, and then the next forming out of, I've had these experiences with people that were circumcised, so on the 8th day. So and I reckon this is, if they know that some babies are about to be born, and let's say one of the Rothschilds or whatever is about to die, yeah, there'll be babies around them, and as soon as one is born, they've got him, or there's a few around them, and when the soul is about to depart, there would be a baby there who is 8 days old exactly. They've got a few around them that would, you know what I mean? They've got enough babies that every day there's a baby that's 8 days old, you know, when they know that the guy is about to die, and then they recycle the soul. And then if the soul is very weak, you know, that instead of bipolarism, they can inhabit the whole body fully. I'm sure, I don't know, I've got the impression this is how they do it. I'm telling you, there's something about the 8th day circumcision. I'm telling you, I don't know.
You know what I heard, sister?
These prayers aren't even prayers, it's satanic fucking nonsense.
Yeah. Do you know what I heard, sister, about the circumcision thing? I heard that it was something, it was a symbolism of the whole, you know, like Jupiter castrating his father and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, the Vatican, the Roman cult is based on Jupiter,
yeah,
which is expansion, which is what you've just told, and then Saturn is the opposite, the restriction, can't do this, you know, like, you know, and then eating his own children. This is why they eat our babies. This is why they drink the blood, because they're taking the Bible literally, because they don't realize that it's all inward work. You know, so you know, Saturn is inside of you, and you're going to be devoured by your own Saturn within. Of course, if you're not able to raise your seed back to your pineal and function on, this is what's going to happen. Saturn will have you. Saturn will be your best friend because it's the wise man of the zodiac.
Yep.
Immortality. Saturn is immortality as well, but he will eat his own children.
Yeah, it gives you an ass whooping, man. Because it's funny, because another thing, going back to astrology and Saturn, all my journey started on my Saturn return. But I didn't know that back then. But obviously now I know that.
Yeah, I went the other way.
As well, sister, because
when my first Saturn return happened, you know, I did the other way. I'd been like doing yoga, I was meditating, I went crazy with drugs for during the whole of my Saturn return.
Yeah, same, because that's when I started smoking, because in my Saturn return. What's interesting, I've looked into like in medical astrology, cannabis is ruled by Saturn, and it makes sense because because cannabis takes you outside of the box. Do you get
Oh
what I
yes,
mean? It
absolutely.
takes
Of
you,
course.
so
This
it
is why
makes total
they
sense.
want it to remain illegal. Well, fuck your illegal because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
lawful. It might not be legal. Legal means the undoing of God's law. I do not practice legal. I only
yeah. Of
do
course.
lawful.
Also,
So
legal means comes from the word regal, which is the rules of the king and queen as well.
yeah, royal, regal,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean yeah, it's interesting, like, because I've looked a bit into that and how yeah, Saturn corresponds with cannabis and stuff like that, and it makes total sense as well. Like, and I kind of, the syncretism I made personally is that obviously Saturn rules two signs, which is Capricorn and Aquarius,
Yeah,
and then you've got the two types. So you've got Indica and Sativa. So
day
an
or night.
yeah, Indica is what makes you stoned.
Yeah, night time you get stoned.
Sativa,
And sativa makes you high.
right,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
Indica is Capricorn and Sativa is Aquarius.
yeah, exactly,
Because
exactly.
when I have sativas, all I want to do is research and find
Oh
knowledge.
my God, I know
I
it's
know.
crazy. That's why I can't do it because it's too much. My brain is already racing with 100 miles an
Yeah,
hour. For me, it's the opposite. I can only do the indicas because
yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I prefer sativa.
I mean, I love the sativas, but it's too
Yeah,
much for me. It's just too much for
and
me, you
then
know.
I find that Libra, where Saturn exalts, is the hybrid because you can get
You got
hybrid
the
strains
yeah,
as
you got the
well.
it's called rudealis. Yeah, you got
Yeah,
rudealis as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
ruderalis. Yeah,
rudealis. But what you're meant to do is you're meant to partake of the sativas during the day, on the indica during the
yeah,
night.
exactly,
Yeah, and
exactly.
I can't. I mean, I've got to work, you know, so I can't smoke
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
day.
yeah,
That's also why I can't. I don't do sativas, you know.
yeah.
But
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So like, and even yeah. So like, they're like the little connections I make because there's a book called Liber 420. I think it's by someone called Chris Bennett, and in there he explains all the different cultures around the world and how like cannabis is connected to their culture. And the reason why I started reading that book is because in the book it was talking about Muhammad's journey through the seven heavens, which is just the seven chakras basically,
Yeah.
and he's going through himself and ascending. But they're
Like,
saying
like,
that
like in Greek mythology, the seven seas, you know,
yeah,
all of that.
exactly. And they're saying though that um he only the reason why he went through the seven heavens to meet God is because he had used cannabis. Basically, that's what it was saying in the book. Do you get what I mean? Which makes sense, like because that is when you start like getting deeper and think up. But
And
there's
also,
many.
cannabis is the most interesting plant on earth as well because it's the only plant on earth, the only one that I know of, which is both hemo and globin. And hemoglobin is blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So plants are usually belong to the hem family or the globin family, one or the other. Mainly hem,
right.
usually hem, I think.
Yeah.
But cannabis is both hem and globin. It's the only one. So it's a
Wow.
proper
See,
it's a
that's
sacrament.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah. And the other interesting plant, well, it's a mushroom, is the Amanita
The
mushroom.
Amanita
Uh,
muscaria. Yeah.
Oh my! Well, on the regalis, on the panthera, you know, all the different amanitas. But the muscaria is more of a nighttime. Panthera is more of a daytime, a bit like with cannabis. On
Yeah.
regalis is like a mixture of both. And you know, this is connected to Christmas, of course. You know,
Yeah,
like
the
Santa
whole
Claus
Santa Claus
making his
thing. I've
gift.
done a show about that in my early days, yeah, with
Yeah,
someone.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
But the
Amanita is like
stockings was when they used to hang the mushrooms up to dry and all that type
that's
of
right.
thing.
That's what.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it was.
yeah,
And we know what Santa Claus is, the Holy
yeah.
Claus one, the one that gives the gifts. But yeah, and Amanita is a beautiful mushroom. It's just so amazing. I love Amanita. You feel like you've had a reset within every
Yeah.
time you take it.
Do you know
Just
what, sister? It's funny because at work, the guy who does like the content for our work on Instagram, he went to the park across the road. Where I work, there's a park across the road. And he found some, and he found a massive big amanita. And he's like, he gave it to me. He's like, "Do you want to take it home?" I said, "I've never used it before, so I don't know, like,
you've got to dry it really well. That's all you got to do.
yeah,
You just
like
have to
so."
really
But
dry
and
it
then I
well.
didn't end up. I said, "Oh, you take it." Like, I didn't end up taking it. but like that is one thing that I want to start experimenting in, maybe like microdosing mushrooms and stuff. I've not done it really. I've been quite I've just like literally in my journey so far, I've just strictly stuck to cannabis. And there's
Yeah.
no reason for it specifically, it's just the way it's happened so far. But I do like, as I mature in my journey, I do want to start experimenting in more, I don't know what you call it, entheogens or psychedelics or
Oh, it's
whatever the word
amazing.
is. Do you get what I mean?
It's
So,
amazing. I tell you what, I've been so blessed. I've been blessed with obviously cannabis, amanita, magic mushrooms, iboga, San Pedro, peyote. And I drank one the other day, which is really amazing, which is called Hemia salicifera. And it's a plant from Peru, I think,
yeah,
from South America. I don't know if you know about that one, but it's slightly trippy, and it makes you, not that I need it because I remember my whole life anyway, but it puts you, it's really helped me to sleep much better, I must admit. It's really helping me to sleep. But the first time I took it, I had a really nice trippy experience, but really lovely, like really, really nice. And it makes you able to recall the past, or
yeah,
you can see your past really clearly. But I already see mine so clearly anyway, so it hasn't
yeah,
made any difference in that department. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's called Hema Sali Hema Heimia Hemia.
yeah. Apparently, even wormwood, if you take enough wormwood, even
Yeah,
that's um that can get you like psychedelic as well. It's
yeah, yeah,
funny because like eat that, the taste of it is crazy. It's really strong. But
yeah,
with me, like every morning before I usually go to work, I do like a little ritual. I have my drops, and then I have my shilajit, and then I have a quick hit from my bong, and then I go to work, and I feel energized like for the whole day, like.
yeah,
And yeah, it's weird, sister, and because I've been off work and I've been a bit more like, how can I say, a bit more just free spirited and lazy. It's interesting. I don't know. It's because I'm used to taking these every day, but obviously because I've been home, I haven't always been taking them, and I've noticed that my mood is a lot more up and down when I don't use like the natural substances.
yeah,
It's when I do use it, I'm a bit more mellow. It's like it levels me out a bit.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
also as well
yeah.
like I was saying, like before I used to be such a social person. I like big crowds didn't affect me and all this, but now I'm the total opposite.
I've never been able to, but when I first drank ayahuasca here in 2004, something happened, and I was complete, and I was living in the middle of fucking Soho as well. Like you can't get any crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
I was living opposite the Trocadero.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was crazy. It was like taxis all night, people puking.
yeah,
I mean, it was so crazy. And after a while, I was like, the first few months I was there, I didn't drink ayahuasca, so I was fine. But then all of a sudden, as soon as I started to drink ayahuasca, I became so sensitive to everything that this is why I had to move out of London.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
take
my
it.
aim. Like for when I get older, is just I want to try and get a little foundation behind me, and then maybe even go back home to Cyprus or just somewhere, or even not
Yeah.
necessarily just
I
somewhere
don't
not
like
in
this.
London.
I don't like being in this country. It's too cold for me. I
Yeah,
need to find a way out again. I need
it's
to
just
find a way out.
it's
I might be
weird.
able to find a way out with my device, with my
Yeah,
healing device, because it's so amazing. You have to come here and visit. I've got a spare. I've got a spare. I'm sitting on a spare futon here, like a futon bed,
yeah, yeah.
So I can even put you up, if you want to come for a
Oh,
couple of
thank you,
days.
sister. I really appreciate it. I would love to come and spend time with you one day, or even if you come to London, you
Yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah.
and that would be great, man, because it's good obviously talking online and stuff, but it's good to connect with people in real life
Yeah,
as well.
because it's not that expensive to come here. There's a coach called the Berries coach. So you take that from Hammersmith, and it's in the evening from London. It's in the evening in Hammersmith. It's about 6:30 in the evening or
Yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
to 7. I think it's a 6:45, and it arrives here around 10 o'clock. And And then the departures are always in the morning, whether it's the next day or 2 days or 3 days later. It's quite early, I think at 7 in the morning. So you've got to be there at 7 in the morning. And then you're in London by like 10 o'clock or something in the morning. But yeah, so, you know, you're welcome to come at any time you
I
want.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
2, 3, 4 nights, you know, I've got the spare bed and it's really nice. I mean, my space is there's so much space. I mean, I've had a few parties here already and there's enough space for like 20 people or something.
Yeah.
And it's a big cram with 20 people, but you know, I've got so many seats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 people can be here quite comfortably,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do, sister, then we'll call it a day for this show.
Yeah, because I'm getting a little tired.
We can always do another show, but I really appreciate you taking your time to talk to me. And obviously, I really
I love it. I've been wanting to do that with you for a long time.
We could talk forever. I know.
It was good to be on the spur of the moment rather than say, "Oh, okay, let's do it next week at this time," because I might have forgotten. So, because you know, sometimes I forget stuff. I have to be reminded. I'm going senile, I think. There's too many things I'm doing. That's why. But it's good that I like things on the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
So.
I was going to say before we go, if you want to let the viewers know where they can check out some of your videos, if you got your YouTube or if there's any other sites.
Yeah, there's YouTube, but there's my Facebook as well, which is Alma Ryan. You know, you can always put link to Alma Ryan. So I do like you. I do a few videos like very inconsistently. Like I did like 4 or 5 short ones in a week, but sometimes I don't do anything for 6 months. So you know, I'm not. It's just I do everything when I feel like it.
That's the best way.
I don't like at 9 o'clock every Sunday. I can't. It's not me. I can't work that way. So yeah, I'm very spur of the moment, and if I've got a page as well with my device, which is called the Araya Soma, Araya Soma, and
I'm going to leave these all in the description in the link so people can check out your page and your stuff, or if they
because I've got a website and you can check. I've got quite a few testimonies already of people that I've given treatments to. You know, so yeah. And you heal yourself through it. On literally, I've had 90% success. On the other 10% were just people I think that they've got mental issues and emotional issues, and because I didn't have enough treatments, you know, first I has to heal before the physical can heal. But anyone else that came to me, like you would see, like it's just incredible, you know, like, and you heal yourself through it. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. All right then, sister. All the best. And
all the best, and you know, let's do another one soon whenever you want. And and you know, if I come to London, you know, I'll let you know. You're absolutely welcome here. So
thank you, sister.
No
Peace
problem.
and blessings.
All right, darling. God bless you too. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.